we have been taught growing up in India specifically to suppress our emotions.
Yeah.
To just suck it up.
ये क्या था यार? You walked from Kanyakumari to Kashmir and you are the youngest Indian to do that.
No, I was the youngest person in the world. आप अपने आप को एक moral pedestal पे डालते हो कि मैं बनूंगा आइडियल बेटा.
हाँ.
तो क्योंकि मुझे बनना है आइडियल बेटा, अभी मेरे बारे में. बट हम दिखाते कैसे हैं? मुझे आइडियल बेटा बनना, मैं मुझसे बात नहीं करूँगा.
What is actually the alpha male, which is not the definition that the society thinks it is?
So while I was an overachiever in terms of a man, I was not a great man. I embraced my feminine. It helped me embrace my masculine because when Shakti shows up, Shiv shows up. When Shiv shows up, Shakti shows up. It's a whole balance.
It's a beautiful dance.
And my fundamental life is live well, love well, leave well.
And that's the legacy you leave behind. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of That Healing Feeling with me, Neha Ranglani. And today I'm joined by Ronit Ranjan, who is an emotional well-being coach, a leadership trainer, an author, and a 5-time TEDx speaker. A former Indian Army Cadet and the author of The Mighty Mustang, Ronit also holds the record of being the youngest person to walk from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. His story of grit and resilience has been featured by the G20, Amazon Prime, The Hindu, Times of India, Humans of Bombay, and many more. When he is not coaching or speaking, you'll find him writing poetries, finding the best chole bhature, and as he says, kicking the patriarchy's ass. Join me in welcoming Ronit. Welcome, Ronit, and thank you for being here on this episode of That Healing Feeling, and thank you for doing this for us.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So, Ronit, I really want to talk to you about a lot of things because you've had a very interesting journey. So, I think you started as an Army Cadet and then an author, leadership trainer,
it's a
and
long
an emotional
journey.
well-being coach now.
Yeah.
So, tell me, how has your journey panned out in all these years and what has it taught you and how have you aligned it all in one purpose? Because I know your purpose is to make India emotionally fit.
Yeah.
So, आप मुझे बताओ. I want to know everything about your journey.
So, do you want like a 5 marker or a 10 marker? Based on that, I'll tell you.
आप बताओ. आपको जो बात करना है बताओ.
ठीक है. So, I mean, this was never part of the plan. As you said, my dream was to be in the army. And this has come out in therapy very recently as to why I wanted to. So for the longest time, I used to tell people and at my podcast ki, I don't really know why I want to join the army. In standard 8, it just clicked. One of my Hindi teachers asked me, Ronit, aapko jeevan mein kya karna hai? And I said, ma'am, I want to join the army. For the longest time, up until last year, I used to tell people that I didn't know the reason because I didn't. And I romanticized it and I let it be ki, it doesn't matter. Some answers are better unanswered and so on. But it came in therapy recently that I was bullied a lot growing up. A lot.
Okay.
My name's Ronit Ranjan. So bachpan mein all these girls in my class and the boys in my class used to call me Ronit Ranjan Dant Manjan.
Oh.
Which is very funny and innovative now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's brilliant. But back then as a kid, I was like, it didn't sit well with me. I was a very timid guy. With
Timid?
A pot. Very. I was tiny.
Look at you now.
ये सब puberty की देन है. But I was very timid. I was one of the front row, the front person in the line, in the queue. Wasn't good in academics, wasn't good in sports, wasn't good physically, mentally, and none of that. So I used to get bullied. I used to get bullied by girls also in my class. And then I had this thought somewhere. I'm like, जब मैं बड़ा होऊंगा ना, I'll become very strong. And then I will show these bullies. And also I'll protect these people who are bullied because there's nobody there for them. Because in school we have some outperformers and they shine and then everything's taken care for them. And then there's the rest of the crowd, nobody cares.
Yeah.
So I was that nobody cared wala crowd. I said, no, I'm going to change that. I'm going to be there for people. Which I think is one of the major reasons I wanted to join the army. Because I have always been a protective kid growing up. As a kid, like in terms of in my house, with my siblings, with my friends, with everything. Even if there's a goal, I'm like protected. So that protective instinct has been high. That also led me to join the army. And till standard 8, I was a very invisible underachiever kid. My sister was a bright one. So I was very happy being invisible. But when standard 8 mein this clicked that I want to join the army. And I went to a lot of people and I said that I want to join the army, and they said you have to be good.
Good matlab?
You have to be good to be in the army. You have to be good at things to join the army, right? You have to be a performer. But nobody told me good at what. तो फिर मैंने सोचा कि ठीक है, let's be good at everything. So then I started studying. I started topping all my subjects. I started playing sports. I became a national athlete. Public speaking, ye wo, everything under the sun, I would do it. And by the time I reached 11th, 12th, I said it was because I've worked very hard for it, utmost humility. I was the academics topper. I was the subject topper for all subjects. I was the sports captain of all the sports in my school. I was a national level physics awardee. I was doing every single thing. I was like a mini celebrity in my school because if I go to a different school, they'll be like, oh, Ronit bhai aaya. And for me, the funda was clear. I want to join the army. I want to crack NDA. 2015 gave my written, cleared the SSB, cleared the medical. That's a different story altogether. That's a long story. That'll take another podcast. But joined the army 2015. I thought this is it. Ab to pahunch gaya, everything's sorted. But the world there is completely different. Because all I had seen before joining the army, because nobody was there in my army, in my background in the army, was joinindianarmy.com पे एक बहुत ही प्यारी motivational YouTube video है which says live a life less ordinary and people are doing cool things in that. I thought this is going to be the army, but I enter and I realize it's a completely different game. I enter, this is my first step into the academy, then I get punished. I have a 2-hour punishment, and then I get allotted my squadron, and then I'm drenching wet in my sweat. Then I go to the washroom, and I see 60, 70 naked men showering together. So that's my first experience. And then I got to know, oh, isko royal bath karte hain. And then I was part of that naked crowd as well. There was a culture shift. It was everything shift for me. But that was my dream. So I thought this is what I want to do. And I've been a very ambitious guy. Like for me, getting in the army was not enough. I wanted to be a major general, lieutenant general, general someday. So army is all about merit as well. So I started studying there. I became an academic topper. Torchy bolte hain wahan pe. So I became a torchy and we get a badge for it. I got a merit card in athletics, which is beyond medals. I got that. I was doing public speaking. I got into national level anchoring. All of that stuff I was doing. Because army is all about merit. Agar aapka merit अच्छा है, then you get into better places. And then 2017 this was my third term. So life's funda was sorted that you train, you get rogered for 6 months, and then you go back home for 21 days. You just eat a lot of food, spend time with your family, heal your wounds, and you go back to training. So it was sorted. So I was in my third sem, and we have different, like for example, you've been in college and you must have bunked. I'm sure. Must have bunked, right? Nothing happens if you bunk. In the army, in NDA, if you bunk or if you, let's say, miss the attendance, you get an EH. EH is called endurance hike. So I will be in my full battle gear, which is my front pack, backpack, the whole gear. And Pune mein, Khadakwasla se, there's this thing called Singer Fort. It's a fort there. It's a 25-kilometer hike. You have to go to Singer Fort and come back within a certain time. If you don't come back in time, it's not counted. So you go and do it again. Till the point that you do it in time.
One class if you bunk.
Yeah, one class if I bunk. Or if I miss the attendance. Even if I'm late for a minute, if I miss my attendance. So now what happens is, you finished your punishment. Now you come back to your squadron. A squadron is like house. Like in school, how we have red, blue, green and all. So in the army, we have squadrons. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf. So I was in Mike M squadron. Now when I come back after getting officially punished, not only that Ronit got punished, somebody from Mike's squadron got punished, which means I brought disgrace to my squadron. So now I go back to my squadron building and I'm invited to the battalion area, and then there's an unofficial round of punishment that happens there. So yeah, this was 2017. One of my buddy pairs had messed up with something. Army is all about buddy pair. So let's say if we are a team and if you make a mistake or I make a mistake, in front of me, all of you will be punished because the team is responsible for me. And within the team, we'll be divided into buddy pairs. So let's say if you are my buddy pair, we eat together, shit together, puke together, get hit together. You're my academy brother. And in terms of life and death, I'll save yours first. So it becomes a responsibility. So one of my buddy pairs has messed up with something and we were called for a session. I can't go into the details of it. But during one of the session, it was a rope session. So in the army, we have different sessions. We have rope session, hockey session, drain session, puke session, bathroom session. We have different sessions. All of these are different kinds of punishment that we get. So we're having a rope session and then something happened and my hand slipped and I fell on my back. And after that, I have something called a diffuse disc bulge in my L2, L3, L4, L5, indenting the thecal sac, something. My MRI showed that 2 of my discs had bulged out, and I was paralyzed on my hip. This was 2017, and I was in the hospital for around 45, 47 days.
Oh my God.
And I think week 3 or week 4 is when my DMO, which is the duty medical officer, he came, and he was being all sweet and nice, which is very atypical because in the army, they first say 2, 3 very nice cuss words and then they call your name. So, वहाँ पे nobody, I'm not Ronit there. I'm 37385 Mike 135 Cadet Ranjan, and a senior will call me beep 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 Ranjan, get here. So this officer was being very sweet to me. I'm like, something's fishy. And I said, sir, tell me what's happening. And then he showed me my MRI, he explained what the scene is, and he said, Ki, you're done and we've started your paperwork. And that's when I learned that my career in the army is over. And I was still in the hospital. And that is where everything crashed. My moment of realization, पहले तो मैं denial में था, but my moment of realization is when you join the army, you and your dad or your guardian sign something called the risk certificate, which says that any injury or death caused is me and my guardian's responsibility. So उसका एक attested copy था, and I got my phone back, and I was told to inform my parents. For my parents realized this was it, and then it was a long slump of a 1 week slump of feeling like a failure because I thought I failed my country, I failed as a soldier, I failed as a man, failed as a son, I failed as everybody because I was the only guy from Ranchi in that batch that year to go there. So everybody in Ranchi knew me. There were only 2 people from Jharkhand. One was in Ranchi, one was I think Dhanbad or Bokaro. So जब मैं सब्जी लेने भी जाता था छुट्टियों में, so then the सब्जी वाले भैया would be like, अरे भैया पार्टी कब दे रहे हैं आपको, तो पोस्टिंग होगी, तो सर की पोस्टिंग आने दो फिर आपको पार्टी देंगे. So I felt कि I failed that भैया also because he had so many expectations. So if I failed, there's nothing more. What is the point of living? And I decided to end my life. And I'm very smart in terms of planning things. So I like my plans to be very meticulous. I spent a week and I came up with different ways to end my life in the hospital because it's very difficult to do that. So I was very smart about it. I figured out 3-4 ways, and then I figured out the timing and then how long or how can you resuscitate that and do all of that.
Did you attempt anything?
Yeah. So no, I'll come to that part. Because now my goal was कि अगर मैं मरने का प्लान कर रहा हूँ और मैं मर भी नहीं पाया ठीक से, तब तो मैं एकदम फुद्दू, मतलब यहाँ भी फेल हो गया. So I planned everything, decided the D-Day. D-Day is when you do the event. And then the D-10 say the countdown started. And D-7 say D-1 I remember. So I dedicated one day to one very important aspect of my life. So, one day would be for my Dadaji, one day for my sister, one day for my friends, one day for the women I was in love with. All of that. D-2 was for my parents, Mummy Papaji, D-1 was for myself, and D-0 was when I was planning to do it. So I realized these nurses used to come on rounds, so there was a surgical knife available all the time. Yeah. So I planned, it's the whole story of that tattoo. My plan was to slit this, and I had timed also, kitne time tak agle round tak nahi aayegi, tab tak nikal
Oh my God.
So
you strategized it actually.
Yeah, of course. Because
yeah, you were an army guy. Of course.
Also because in rounds for the back injury and all, वो nurses का set time होता था.
Of course.
So keep checking, so I had to do it. Otherwise,
वो
फिर fail हो जाएगा. So D-, and I had written all my letters to all these people. So I had written a letter to my sister, all of that, gave life advice, blah blah blah. D-2 I remember. So my dad's a very simple dad, who loves doing dad jokes, which are so unfunny that you laugh. And I think that's one of the chemistry that keeps their relationship, my mom and my dad's relationship, going. So my sister used to keep sending me these printed photographs because we didn't have any digital media or phone there.
Right.
So हम letters लिखते थे, and she used to send me postcard में pictures of herself or mummy papaji and so on. So March में all of this was happening. February में it was their marriage anniversary, and there's a very cute picture my sister had sent जहाँ पे my dad must have passed some terrible dad joke, and my mom was just looking at him with disgust but also love. It was a very cute, candid picture. And I saw that and I told myself, यार इनका कौन देखेगा, मैं निकल जाऊँगा तो. And then I told myself कि अच्छा काम करता हूँ, थोड़ा इनको set कर देता हूँ, फिर निकलता हूँ, फिर जाता हूँ. And that is when I decided to not
do it on
slit.
the D-Day.
Not do it on the D-Day. D-1 is when I inform my friends and all of that stuff, all of that jazz happened. And I decided just not to do. अभी नहीं करते, थोड़े टाइम बाद करते, कुछ सेट कर लेते हैं इनके लिए. Not to do it. And then all the medical procedure was going on. March end, I started walking again. I had gained a lot of weight. Got the movement order. Movement order is this document that says that you can go home now. Came back. Didn't have anything to look forward to. Because again, I had so much guilt and shame because I felt I failed. But while all this was happening, तो अब ये था कि भाई जीवन में कुछ करना है तो I need to get a job, I need to make money. Because when I was in the army, everything was taken care of, so I thought now I'm financially free. But suddenly there was so much medical expense after I was released, and so many things went on to. We had to sell one of our family lands to take care of the medical expenses because it's very expensive for a spinal thing.
Yeah. How long did you take to recover?
Physical recovery total though it's taken years. But at that point when I started walking and got back into normal life was almost 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
And so yeah, this was April and I'm like chalo degree to karni padegi because those 2 years back in the army that got nullified, so I didn't have a degree, so I didn't know what to do. Came to Bangalore because my sister was studying here. Joined Christ, did a triple majors in eco, pol science, sociology. Is when I got introduced to mental health because I think some people recommended that I should go to therapy. And then I got introduced to what depression, PTSD and anxiety is because I got diagnosed with that. तब तो मुझे नहीं पता था ये सब, मैंने तो मूवी में देखा था. I used to have these flashbacks and these attacks and all these things. That worked. Have you seen Mehuna? शाहरुख खान का. So Mehuna में एक stage है जहाँ पे वो college आता है. It's a very funny scene that he's out of place. Just take out all the humor and fun and put a lot of these depression, anxiety. That was me because when I went, I was the senior in my department. I couldn't bond because मेरी दुनिया भी अलग थी. I didn't know how to talk like these college kids. वो freshers की बातें करते थे and I was like, I'm planning to set something up and leave. So I didn't have any friends. And I was a national athlete and that used to be my emotional release. But I was barred from anything, playing anything professionally. So चीज़ें भर रही थी but निकलने को कुछ था नहीं.
Yeah.
I remember I would just leave my class and my HOD was very kind. I told him the situation. I told him that I suddenly get flashbacks that I'm falling. So I was allowed to leave, stand up and leave my class anytime. So I would leave my class, go to a particular basketball court and I'll sit and just break down because as a man I couldn't cry in front of anybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The stereotypical.
And even if I tried emoting, somehow a lot of these people will tell me कि अरे तू तो फौजी है ना, तो ठीक हो जाएगा. I'm like भाई दिल होता है हमारा भी. तो I used to sit and I used to have these breakdowns. One day I was having a major breakdown and I took out my diary and I wrote down something which eventually turned into a poem. It was about my experiences back in the army and how I feel about it and what I want to do in life and so on. Went back, told my friend, she was a very dear friend of mine, she's like, Ronit, you should go perform it somewhere. So Bangalore has a very beautiful culture of open mics. I went and I performed, 30, 40 odd people. Everybody's sitting and crying. I'm crying on stage and after I'm done, everybody gives me a hug. I go back home and I feel good. So I'm like, let me do it again. Did that again in front of 100 people.
Yeah.
Everybody's crying. I'm crying. I get a hug. I'm like, this feels good. It was very cathartic. Did the same poem for almost 15, 20 times. Eventually, एक साल में मेरी branding हो गई Bangalore में as that ex-Fauji guy who makes people cry. Because all my poems are sad. It was a way for me to just emote.
Yeah.
Then after a point when I'm like, oh, this poetry thing is making sense. And suddenly a lot of these colleges and organizations started calling me ki, please come share your story, you know, we want to be motivated.
Yeah.
तो फिर मेरा face था जो मैं motivational speaker था for a bit. But then I realized it's a very one-way traffic. मैं जाऊँ कहानी सुनाऊँ ज्ञान दे दूँ. But when people would respond, I wouldn't have a lot of resources to respond to their questions. All this while therapy was going on, but I reached a point wherein it became stagnant. It's like, okay, I don't want to kill myself. There's more to life, but I don't know what. And I don't know what happiness is, what purpose is, and so on. So my therapist introduced me to this lady with whom I worked under her for 3 months, and that lady changed my life. And after that, I came up with my book. I started doing social work. I started working on child sex abuse, menstrual hygiene, education, everything I could get my hands on. I started smiling again, laughing again. And then I went back to this lady, Manisha ma'am, I remember. And I said, ma'am, this is not therapy because I've done therapy. What is it? And she's like, oh, this is coaching. It's called NLP. I said, I want to learn this. So then I learned NLP. Then I got certified. And then I started coaching college kids. उस time तक coach किसी को नहीं पता था, life coaching and so on. This is 2018.
Yeah. तो एक साल में ये सब कुछ हुआ.
हाँ, ये एक साल में हुआ. तो actually जो आगे बढ़ा था वो 3 महीने हुआ था. The work I did under her. मेरे सारे धागे खोल दिए हमने. So there was a full reset. I started coaching. I collaborated with my university. I became one of their peer educators, and they sent me to UG kids, got good feedback. They sent me to PG kids, then they sent me to associate professors, then they sent me to professors. So by the time I was in my 3rd year of college, I was already coaching people my parents' age, professors and so on. I realized I have something, like I have a way to talk to people and I get it, and they're able to respond. But there was no money in it. सारे free करता था because nobody knew coaching in India. So 2020 तक free करा, then got graduated, COVID happened, everything shut down. Sushant Singh Rajput case happened. All the celebrities were like, oh, mental health matters, I'm there for you. Nobody gave a shit.
Yeah.
So I was also posting content, but then I asked myself कि मैं क्या अलग कर रहा हूँ. तो मैं बोला मैं भी अलग नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैं भी सोशल मीडिया में चूचू ही कर रहा हूँ. तो that's where the idea came in. I thought कि इंडिया में क्या क्या हर जगह जाता है. तो बॉलीवुड, एजुकेशन, करप्शन, ये सब हर जगह जाता है. तो मैं बोला एजुकेशन पकड़ते हैं. National education policy had come in, and they had mentioned the word mental health. They had brushed with a lot of things, but at least mentioned. I thought कोई तो है सेंटर पे जिसको मन है कुछ करने का. I raised a petition to the education minister that in all Indian schools from standard 9 to 12 we need to have a mandatory mental health curriculum. Got a change.org pe petition done. Started getting online signatures. After a few months, when I saw the signature, all of them were from Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore. None of the tier 2, tier 3 cities. And I realized that India में still there's 50% of population who do not have access to internet and phone. तो वो कैसे petition sign करेंगे? कि हम नवी मुंबई तक पहुंच जाएंगे mental health. नवी मुंबई के 40 किलोमीटर आगे nobody talks about mental health. So then the primary question was, how do I reach out to a random villager in a random village in India?
Right.
जिसका आंसर बहुत ही सिंपल था कि मैं जाके बोल सकता हूँ.
हाँ.
And then I was like, India तो बहुत ही बड़ा है, where all do I go? So I thought, चलो इंडिया में ही बोल देता हूँ. That's where the idea of the walk came in.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. ये क्या था यार? You walked from
Kanyakumari
to Kashmir, and you are the youngest Indian to do that.
No, I was the youngest person in the world.
Youngest person in the world to do that. पहले तो ये inspiration कहाँ से आया? And then what you did during this walk, and क्या हुआ and क्या सीखे क्या सिखाया वो सब बताओ.
लंबी है, मैं आपको कुछ highlights दूंगा. So the thing is that, like I said, I had to reach out to common people. That will not happen through social media. I wanted to understand कि इस एरिया में what is the understanding of mental health. यहाँ से 40 किलोमीटर में the culture, language problems change. So you can't have one policy or one idea of what mental health is and then you put it on people. That's not how it works. So I wanted to understand that. Second is India is all about a game of attention. यहाँ पे genuinely there are so many problems. So if I am bringing up a petition to the education minister, there are 100 petitions every single day. Why would they pay attention? But let's say if you're a decision maker and if I come to you and be like, oh, I've just walked the whole country and lakhs of people have signed it, would you take a look? You might.
Yeah.
So it was a gamble that I did.
Wow.
So 50% of the walk, honestly, I did because the whole campaign, and 50% because, I mean, it's there on my phone. My wallpaper is, if anything's happening in life, just go for a walk. And usually when something happens, I like taking long walks. And a lot of things were happening in my life, like work-wise, family-wise, love life-wise. I was like, I need a longer walk.
Longer walk, and इतने लंबे walk पे गए. कितने दिन लग गए आपको?
156 days.
And did you take, I'm sure you took breaks.
I took breaks. So I think on a 156 days, I walked almost 120, 130 days. Baki I had to take breaks also. In major cities, I would spend for 3-4 days, get a new pair of clothing, go do my medical checkups and all that, because there was a lot of injuries that used to happen as well.
So 4 months almost.
5 months.
5 months. You walked. Wow.
Started with जो पहले campaign था, it was Kanyakumari to Leh. But I reached Delhi in March, और मनाली के आगे roads were not open because ice was still there. And Delhi में got hospitalized because my back started acting up. और मनाली वाले route में just after Chandigarh upslope started. And it's difficult to walk upslope. And then the idea came in कि फिर K2K करता हूँ ना. K2K also sounds better, and till Pathankot there's highway. Pathankot के बाद is when the mountain starts, so it gives me some leeway to go a little more. So then I changed and then became a K2K.
How was it received? What petition हुआ sign?
In 2023 I was part of G20 summit. We got the policy approved. तो मतलब मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि मैं कर रहा हूँ. There were a lot of stakeholders who were doing it, but they invited me as one of the delegates to discuss policy, and we had to lobby a lot and we had to debate and discuss because there were 150 policies. Out of 150 policies, 7 had to be approved. और हमारे हेल्थ एंड वेलनेस में से 2 ही जाने थे, तो उसमें से मेंटल हेल्थ को हमने पुश करा. एंड आई हैड months of data and reporting and social media and so on, and there were multiple NGOs also who were working with it. I had collaborated with a lot of NGOs, so we all got it and we lobbied.
So what changes got implemented
So what has happened
after
is
that?
the mental health policy has gotten approved, which means that all these boards, CBSE, ICSE and all, they have to set up a curriculum of sorts, in the sense they'll bring in guidelines to do. Still a lot of loopholes because it's not mandatory. It's not graded. There's no reporting system. So right now we're pushing for that. Because अगर इंडिया में रिपोर्टिंग नहीं होगी कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Because we are expert, हम एक मोटी सी मैनुअल डाल देंगे, जो डाला CBSE ने मैनुअल कर दिया. But when I ask in schools, the manual is not there. It becomes one of those things that it would be good if you do it.
Yeah.
But इंडिया में हर चीज़ प्यार से नहीं होती है, थोड़ा डंडा देना पड़ता है. So that डंडा is not there yet. But Supreme Court recently gave a danda because some Gujarat and Rajasthan mein suicide cases happened. Supreme Court has passed a mandate that every school and college need to do it. So Gujarat and Rajasthan have taken it up.
वेरी इंस्पायरिंग स्टोरी रोनित. मतलब ये सुन के सच्ची ऐसे लगता है कि हम इतना जल्दी गिव अप कर देते हैं. वी जस्ट प्ले विक्टिम इन आवर लाइफ एंड वी से हमारे साथ ही हुआ, हमारे साथ ही हुआ. बट आई थिंक एवरी episode that happens in your life which is not going in your favor is actually to make you reach somewhere or get you to that point where you can shine your light. And aapko wo, the diamond has to go through the grind before it shines. So it is that grind.
True.
Only if you see it that way. And your story is just a testimony of that. Ki you went through the pain, the turmoil, the torture. You wanted to commit suicide, but see the transformation and see what you're doing now. You're transforming people's lives.
But ये wisdom ना बाद में आता है.
बाद में आता है.
उस टाइम पे नहीं आता है.
आप उस टाइम अपने आप को पकड़ लो ये समझ के कि जो हो रहा है मेरे लिए अच्छे के लिए हो रहा है. द गुड एंड द बैड, शुक्र है उसके लिए भी, हर चीज़ के लिए शुक्र है. अगर आप ये आई थिंक समझ के चलो, वो टाइम भी टल जाएगा. एंड देन what will come will be bigger and better than what you have ever imagined. I don't think आपने कभी imagine भी किया होगा कि आप ये कर रहे होगे अब, right? So आप मुझे बताओ, you talk about making India emotionally fit. Now that's a mission. That's really one mission that is big and heavy. What is emotional fitness? अगर आपको simple terms में समझाना है किसी को, हमारे audience को, कि what is emotional fitness, आप कैसे समझाओगे? What does it mean? क्या करना चाहिए emotionally fit होने के लिए?
Okay. So I'll pick up the keyword which is fitness because people understand that term in a physical fitness thing. एक होता है कि आप बीमार हो और आप बेड पे पड़े हुए when you are sick. That's one extreme end. The other extreme is कि आप एकदम you're dancing, you're doing your things, you're doing your tracks, so you're fit. Then there's a big gray area wherein most of us lie, wherein we're not sick, but we don't live our life fully. Right? Plus we live in a society when everything's convenient. कोई उठ के नीचे सब्जी लेना नहीं चाहता है. And that adds to our lack of fitness. We can't, most of the Indian population can't even do 10 push-ups. Right? Basic things. हम अपना सामान नहीं उठाते हैं. Now we have every single thing for every single thing. So we're just becoming lazy. To a point, if you've watched this movie called WALL-E, if you have. So WALL-E mein, there's a futuristic situation that it's 2050 or something, and we've left the earth because it's too polluted. We've gone, and for generations, we were just sitting on machines and going on. So our bodies changed. And now even to sip something, we have something and go on. That's a direction. We're getting lazy and lazy. So fitness is you get up, you move, you do what your body is supposed to do so that you can live life in a more harmonious way and you can do the things you're supposed to do.
Right.
Same goes in terms of emotions as well. We have been taught growing up in India specifically to suppress our emotions, to just suck it up, to not express and show. But yes, it keeps getting stored in our nervous system because that's like a big library and everything gets stored as a book. Now what happens is when you're not used to emoting, you don't know how to express anger, you don't know how to express fear, you don't know how to ask something, you basically don't know how to talk. And when you don't know how to talk, if you never ask, you never receive.
Yeah.
And then you complain that you don't have anything in life, but you forgot how to ask. Or maybe you asked, but it was shunned down because you were told that your emotions are too much and so on. And then you made that into your reality and you stopped sharing or you stopped emoting and all of that. All of that are unhealthy patterns we get into, loops we get into. What I mean by emotional fitness is not that you're happy all the time. That's the other extreme end that we get into, which is also not healthy.
Toxic positivity हो
Toxic
जाता है ना?
positivity, right? Now, there, as a human being, we have hundreds of emotions that we go. Emotion means energy in motion,
Yeah.
which is just a certain energy that goes through, and it has to move. When we don't emote, when we don't express, when we don't talk, that energy keeps getting stored here and here. It doesn't
Yeah.
go out, and then eventually we become sick. So fitness means the things that are supposed to move, they move. If I'm happy, I'm happy. If I'm sad, I'm sad. If I'm angry, I'm angry. To allow myself for that energy to move around and flow around in my body, that is fitness. It's like highway clear, everything can go. But हमारी highway बहुत ही Bombay की traffic की तरह congested रहती है. Nothing moves, and that's where we get sick.
Yeah.
So emotional fitness is understanding your own emotions so that you can regulate yourself, and also understanding other people as well. I think we've become a society which is too much about me, मैं. हम बस दिन भर मैं बकरी की तरह मैं करते रहते हैं. But we never consider other people, and that makes us entitled. And then we have 10 people telling, oh no, you are the best, you're amazing, you're the queen.
Yeah.
And then you think you're the queen, and then you live in your bubble,
Yeah.
and then the bubble breaks because life happens, and then suddenly you feel, oh, why did this happen to me? Because
Yeah.
you never worked on your emotion. So that's why, and everything's related. Your emotion, your body, your mind, your people, your spirituality, your surroundings, everything is related to what's happening here and here.
Yeah.
And that's why if that is not sorted, you can have the most money in your life, the best relationship, all of that, but you'll not be happy and fulfilled.
Yeah, I think India as a society has always seen vulnerability as weakness. You know, we always see कि यार तुम vulnerable हो तो तुम बड़े weak से हो. You're not strong. You're not, you're sissy. Especially for men. When they are vulnerable, literally Indian men do not know how to express emotions, emote, cry, because it's just something that they've been stopped from doing since they were a kid. So ये चीज़ को तुम कैसे overcome करो, and then of course coming to the next question is how do you regulate your emotions, because आपने कहा एक तो हम कचरा भरते रहते हैं अपने अंदर, things don't flow, obviously they get stored in our organs and then we manifest that into diseases, but then how do we regulate it, where do we start from?
A catch here is that the moment we talk about regulation, most people get into control. One of the most common questions I get asked is around how do I control my emotion? Like that's the problem. It's controlling your emotion. At the same time, that doesn't mean कि आप रायते की तरह फैल जाओ and you could just keep spilling out of emotion. That's the other side of it. That's being reckless. By regulating means being aware of what's going on, observing, and choosing a response to it rather than reacting. Right? If I'm happy, sad, angry, whatever, I can choose how I can respond. Because my response has a certain ripple effect in the environment I'm in. Let's say if I'm angry, if I just scream at you, I spoiled your day as well, which was never my intention, because I like you as a person, I like myself, but at that moment I reacted and then I damage my environment as well, which is why we need to regulate. Now at the same time, if I don't suppress, if I just keep suppressing, I don't emote, I'm going to take all that shit away.
Yeah.
So regulation means is that, okay, this is the problem, this is where it's coming from, you are the source of it. Let me just communicate and express that, Neha, this is what you did that made me feel a certain way. I hope we can do better.
Yeah.
So it's sorted and done without, attacking. Like I love doing this demonstration. Can you extend and show me your fist? Okay, show your fist to me. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. Why were you pushing me back?
Why weren't I pushing you back?
Why were you pushing me back? I just said show your fist, and I was trying to push you. Why were you trying to resist or push me back?
I don't know, just some resistance, and it was very autopilot.
Yeah, and that's how we live in. We always live in wanting to protect and defend and respond. I'm not a threat to you right now. I just said show your fist. I could just take your fist and keep it there. I'm not a threat.
Yeah.
But we are used to living in an environment wherein we seem everything as threat because our nervous system is always on survival mode. So regulating your emotion means to not see everything as a threat, to be like, oh, this is what it is, whatever that emotion is. This is where it might be coming from. A good way to start for beginners who've not done this or who've not experienced professional support and so on is whenever you feel something, take out a pen and paper and write down.
Yeah, journal it out. Throw it out of your system.
Throw it out. Just get it out. Once you write, two things happen. One is whatever is here, it's always a magnified version of it. The moment it's on paper, you see whatever it is.
For what it is, yeah.
Second is our brain runs faster than a supercomputer. But when you're writing what you're feeling, you can never write as fast as your brain. So your body just slows down, your thought slows down, and that's why you respond. So
Yeah.
good step is that. The second good step is to learn something called non-violent communication. कि yes, मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ कि मैं गुस्सा हूँ, but मैंने आपको गाली दे दी. वो भी expression है, but that's not healthy. That's very violent. So how can I express whatever I'm going through in a way that doesn't cause you damage? That's non-violent communication. Learning how to speak. The third would be to go seek professional help and
Yeah.
get some basic fundas in life sorted. Sort out whatever's happening from the past or your present. Where is your frustration coming from? Is it related to your caregiver? Is it related to your partner? Is it related to something that's unfinished or unfulfilled in you? As a third step. Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you may respond and you may try to be really calm and very composed, but the other person just doesn't get the memo.
Yeah.
They don't.
They don't.
And I'm talking about work. I'm talking about spaces where things need to be done the way they need to be done.
Yeah.
But people don't get it. And when you tell them, they get upset because it's like, मुझे कैसे बोला? मुझे क्यों बोला? How do you cross that line, or how do you draw that line rather, of not crossing that line and still being assertive and getting the communication like in the right direction, but making sure they've understood what you're trying to tell them? Because there are some people who just don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, because you do a lot of leadership trainings and stuff. There are people at work who just don't get it.
True. Before I answer, my question is, why should they care?
What is the role of self-responsibility here then? Because if you're in a
Why should
job
they
and you're
be?
getting paid for something, don't you have a sense of self-responsibility towards that job?
That's your reality and your value system. Why are you expecting somebody else to have the same?
How does a team work then?
No, so I'm asking a question. There must be. So then my question would be, so that is our idea of how a team should work, is everybody should take self-responsibility and then show up. Again,
Yeah.
still your perception of it. My question is, let's say if I'm your team member, why should I care?
Why should I pay you then as a boss or as an employer? Why should I pay
Don't
you?
fire me.
Okay. So
Why should I
is it
care?
that simple? It's clearly
When
not,
you get to the
right?
core of it, it's that, but there's too many layers. So, I mean, in practicality, the conversation cannot be so simple because there's so many layers that I will have and you and have.
Yeah.
But the primary question is, why should I care? Why I'm asking you this is very amazing. There was this some agent who said this thing. The difference between perception and perspective. We live in a world wherein we perceive things in the sense like we have our perception. So let's say I've spoken to you for half an hour and I have a certain perception of you, right?
Yeah.
Versus perspective is like, why are you trying to have this podcast with me, or why is it important for you or for your channel, or you're trying to batch up content right now, or you chose me as a guest, it must mean that it aligns with your brand or whatever you want to do, whatever. I'm going to try to ask myself those questions, and then I'll get some input, and then I'll see ki, is there any resonance between what I'm trying to create and what you're trying to create? If there's resonance, then it's a communication problem. Then we can sit and fix that communication.
Right.
But if it's not aligned, if the values
Value
are only not
systems
aligned,
are
if they're not
different.
aligned, then we cannot work together, and that's a no-brainer. Now, if we're still associated together and we have to figure it out, it's probably because I am still gaining something from you and you are gaining something from me.
Fair.
right?
I mean, that's how this
Exactly.
work employee-employer relationship
yeah.
is always that, right?
So then-
or any work relation.
So
for
then
that
the
matter.
baseline or the mode of operation of that relationship becomes a transaction, that I'm here because of a particular thing, which would mean all my value system and all the should have and could have goes aside, because
Yeah.
we've already established we're a mismatch. And that's most of the organizations and corporate people, is that they're just here, मेरे को ये काम है, ये sales, ये बनेगा, ये पैसा बनेगा, and I leave.
Yeah.
And now the problem is that, thanks to LinkedIn influencers, somewhere we're pushing the idea of कि नहीं, अगर वो मेरा boss है तो वो एकदम family जैसा होना चाहिए. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Learning how to demarcate different relationships with different people
Yeah.
and having just that relationship, and not wanting अच्छा आप podcast आजकल मैंने podcast कर लिया, अब आप मेरी best friend हो. No.
Yeah.
We came for a purpose. It could eventually bloom into a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, but that
But
should
that was-
not be the base
Exactly,
foundation
and that
of the
should never be the
relationship.
agenda of it, because
Yeah.
then I'm polluted by something else in my
Yeah,
mind.
you're not getting into that role with that agenda in mind, is what you're trying to
Yeah.
say.
And now the thing is, your frustration comes because you somewhere expect the other person to have the same value. If it's not, it's not. For example, I keep telling this thing, and one of my friends only, she told me that. Have you by any chance seen my paracetamol video?
नहीं.
No. Okay, I'll do this fun game.
Yes.
So you've gone to a sabzi mandi to buy sabzi, right? Let's say you go to a sabzi wale bhaiya and you say, भैया paracetamol देना. भैया क्या बोलेंगे?
नहीं है.
नहीं है. ठीक है. You go back. Next day you go again. Like भैया paracetamol देना. भैया क्या
नहीं
बोलेंगे?
है.
आप तीसरे दिन भी गए कि भैया पैरासीटामोल दो ना, मेरे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है.
अरे नहीं है ना मेरे पास.
फिर लौट गया आप. चौथे दिन फिर हम लाइक भैया क्यों नहीं दे रहे हो, मेरे को पैरासीटामोल चाहिए दो.
भाग जाओ यहाँ से, नहीं है मेरे पास.
भाग जाओ. He'll be a little pissed, right? फिर अगले दिन आए, बोले भैया पैरासीटामोल दो मुझे चाहिए. क्या करेंगे भैया?
पीटने पे आ जाएंगे.
पीटने पे आ जाएंगे है ना. ये तो आप बॉम्बे वाले तो आपने 5-6 में पीटने बोला. दिल्ली होता तो 2 बार में बोलता कि मैं, है ना. Now in this situation बेवकूफ़ कौन है, भैया कि आप?
आप.
क्यों?
गलत जगह गलत चीज़ मांग रहे हो.
Exactly. भैया नेवर ओड यू दैट. भैया के पास था ही नहीं. बट हम बहुत बार अपनी लाइफ में ऐसे ही ऑपरेट करते हैं कि क्योंकि मुझे चाहिए तो नेहा आप दो. भाई नेहा के पास नहीं है तो मैं क्या करूँ
यार. पर हर बार यू कांट. इट्स नॉट जस्ट वर्क, ये फैमिली में भी होता है, यू नो. सो यू
Mostly
कांट
वही
जस्ट
होता है.
एलिमिनेट पीपल आउट ऑफ योर लाइफ बिकॉज वो.
यू कांट एलिमिनेट, यू कैन सेट बाउंड्रीज.
या बट देन तुम रोल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी या फैमिली में हो या तुम वर्क पे हो, तुम सेट करते हो, एस्टैब्लिश करते हो. बट सामने वाला नहीं उसको फुलफिल कर सकता है या करना चाहता है, या यू राइटली सेड उनका वैल्यू सिस्टम नहीं है कि वो ये कर सके, या वो they are not able to envision what you are envisioning and the bigger picture that you have in your mind. So they are not able to see that, and वो उनका मोटिव नहीं है, वो उनका मोटिवेशन नहीं है. बट इसका मतलब ये नहीं ना तुम सबको फिर एलिमिनेट करते जाओ. हाउ डू यू क्रिएट दैट इको सिस्टम वे लाइक ठीक है मैं जानती हूँ कि तुम ये नहीं कर सकते हो, या मैं जानता हूँ कि तुम मुझे इतना ही दे सकते हो. तो एक तो अपने आप को कैसे कंट्रोल करो और सामने वाले को कैसे मोटिवेट करो कि जो करना है वो करो.
2 लेयर्स है इसमें. पहला कि खुद को कैसे ये करो वो करो. knowing your expectation and demand. A lot of times we don't request, we demand. We come from a space of entitlement. कि अब मुझे चाहिए तो मुझे चाहिए. First of all, a lot of times I ask my clients कि what do you want? पहले वो आएंगे बहुत सारा, मेरे को ये चाहिए वो चाहिए. मैं बोलता हूँ ठीक है, write down 10 things you want. उनसे 10 चीज़ नहीं लिखी जाती है. Because we've created this thing in our head, this big thing कि हो हमें तो ये सब चाहिए. But when you come down to writing on a piece of paper, there are 5-6 things you primarily need in life. First, having clarity. Second is, like you said, the moment I said, and this is how funny it works is, let's say you ask me a problem, a question, I give you an answer. And you'll be like, no, but Ronit, this happens. So I'll give you another answer. And you'll be like, no, but this happens. Rather than taking whatever input that you have and implementing, we keep waiting for the perfect answer. Right? We call it the sniper versus machine gun approach. Like हमें क्या लगता है कि हम बहुत ही अच्छे से मैग्नीफाई करते हैं और स्नाइपर लगाते हैं सामने और मेरे को बस एक हेडशॉट मारना है एंड आई एम डन. एंड वी कीप वेटिंग ऑल आवर लाइफ विथ आवर राइफल, हैवी राइफल, कि हेडशॉट नहीं जा रहा है. Life is more like machine gun. You just take and you start duck, 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 duck everywhere. Now what's going to happen is you'll realize, अच्छा यहाँ है मेरा दुश्मन, यहाँ मेरा target. Now I'm gonna focus on this particular area. It's called grouping. मेरी grouping of my firing would be better. That's a much better way to get whatever you want or do whatever you want rather than waiting for the thing. So, of course, there's no like black and white answer to family.
It's a pretty gray area there.
But starting with knowing that they are also adults living their life for the first time. They're also figuring out life. Let's say if it's your mom or your dad or your sister. They are not just your mom. They are an individual who have their own stuff.
Yeah.
Knowing after a point, I think part of adulting is knowing what are your expectations, what are your offerings, what are their expectations and offering, and then you basically figure out a midway and you agree on certain thing. If they're constantly disrespecting the agreement that you've made, which means you leave. I mean, in coaching we say simply that if something's happening, either change your response or your behavior or change the environment. There is no other way around it. Now what happens in India specifically, the idea of family is very beautiful, romanticized, and is a very beautiful institution.
Yeah.
But sometimes we use our family to victimize ourselves. Right? आप अगर 20, 30, 40 साल के आपको कोई नहीं बोल रहा है कि आप ये नहीं कर सकते हो, बट क्या करते हो आप अपने आप को एक मॉरल पेडेस्टल पे डालते हो कि मैं बनूंगा आइडियल बेटा.
हाँ.
तो क्योंकि मुझे बनना है आइडियल बेटा अभी मेरे बारे में, बट हम दिखाते कैसे मुझे आइडियल बेटा बनना, मैं तो सब आपके लिए करता हूँ.
हाँ.
Right?
Yeah.
We start victimizing and then we come back into our loop. In coaching we call it the Karpman drama triangle, in which we have 3 positions. We have the rescuer, the persecutor and the victim. Victim को चाहिए कि मुझे बचा लो, फिर आता है rescuer, मैं तुमको बचाऊंगा.
हाँ.
With family कि अरे नहीं मेरे माँ बाप तो बूढ़े हो रहे हैं, इनका कौन ख्याल रखेगा.
हाँ, और ये ना इंडियन लड़कों के दिमाग में ना इंस्टॉल किया जाता है.
ये मेरे इतनी हार्ड वायरिंग है, मैं इसको
बचपन से.
छोड़ने की कोशिश
ये हार्ड वायरिंग सब इंडियन लड़कों की है. मेरे माँ बाप बूढ़े हो रहे, उनका ध्यान कौन रखेगा. मतलब लड़कियों को ये हार्ड वायरिंग नहीं है, क्योंकि लड़कियों को बचपन से सिखाया जाता है ये तुम्हारा घर ही नहीं है, तुम तो पराई हो, तुम्हें तो ये घर छोड़ के जाना है. बट लड़कों को सिखाया जाता है तुम्हें तो हमारा ध्यान रखना है, तुम बेटे हो. हमने बेटा मांग मांग के भगवान से लिया है क्योंकि हमारा ध्यान रख सके कोई हमारे ओल्ड एज में.
Yeah, for a very long time I remember, and I'm not sharing in the podcast, I think last year I had a very heart to heart with my parents. I told my dad that I need to have a man to man with you. I said, I'm like, what are your expectations? Tell me. Like, what do you want in terms of finances, in terms of my love life, in terms of anything? Because who I am, and thanks to the whole idea of manhood in this country, I felt that I failed when I was in the army. और जब army खत्म हुआ, उसके बाद से I've realized all of this has been unpacked in coaching and therapy. In the last few years, all I've been trying to do is overdo things and it was sort of overcompensation to feel कि they are proud of me. My parents are proud of me.
मतलब एक बहुत बड़ा decision you took of your life is to not commit suicide so that you could set your parents and make their life comfortable. That hard wiring somewhere helped you like not commit
it didn't.
the sin of suicide, I would say.
There's functionality, there's wisdom.
Yeah.
But it becomes overbearing at a point when you don't know how to regulate.
And you don't know what to choose in a situation when you're supposed to choose the right thing. Then you can't because the hard wiring stops you.
तो आपको 2-3 बार फटना पड़ता है and then you learn कि oh ये नहीं करना था. It's I've been coaching for almost 7 years now. ऐसा नहीं कि some decision happens and I know oh this is the right decision. I don't. It's just that I know I do my calculations. I see my gut feeling. It's just easier for me to choose something now because I'm like देख लेंगे क्या होगा and I can respond better. As a coach, I'm good at responding. I'm not good at predicting things. Right? So I felt like a failure and I sat him down and I said, there's so many things I want to do, but I see that I do it for you. But after a point, I'm realizing मैं अपना कुछ करता ही नहीं हूँ. I don't spend a single money on myself, not a single rupee. I was seeing this girl back then who was not from India, was a foreigner lady. Without even taking it forward, मेरे दिमाग में ये आया कि मेरे parents शायद accept नहीं कर पाएंगे.
So everything that you were doing was
with
the background noise in your head that पता नहीं parents क्या सोचेंगे.
Not सोचेंगे, but मेरी core need थी. I wish they are proud of me. नहीं, I wanted them to be proud of me. और उस need को fulfill करने के लिए मैं इतना ज़्यादा करने लगा कि eventually I started pleasing them. Because हमें पता नहीं होता ना at what point we're pleasing them because we're trying to be a good son and so on. So I had this conversation और ये होता है. And there's something we learn the hard way is one day you'll realize कि मुझे इतना खाली क्यों हो रहा है. Like I'll sit and sometimes I'll look at my finances or I'll just sit and ask myself कि पिछले 6 महीने में मैंने खुद के लिए क्या किया है. I'm like shit मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है खुद के लिए. Is when hits or when my therapist or coach will ask you, Ronit, tell me what are you doing for yourself? You're doing your retreats, you're doing your this, you're doing your coaching and this and family. खुद के लिए क्या कर रहे हो?
You asked me this question when we were just sitting outside.
That's why I have
अपने लिए क्या करते हो? And I had an answer कि अपने लिए ये करती हूँ.
ये मेरे पास 6-7 महीने पहले तक जवाब नहीं होता था because everything I ever did was for other people. Because somewhere when you don't receive or when you don't get, you try to overcompensate by giving
overgiving,
more.
yes.
And then you romanticize it and then you become part of that loop. I was like, screw it, I don't. मुझे जीना है. तो ये recently आया thanks to spirituality in my life as well. थोड़ी सी sense डाली उसने. Otherwise मैं तो दे के I was getting burnt out.
Yeah. Empty. You're just creating like emptiness.
Coming back to what you said कि parents का कैसे set किया जाए, so have some hard conversation, being okay with the fact that you are not going to be the ideal kid. I've openly told my parents recently that मैं आपका ideal बेटा तो कभी बन नहीं पाऊंगा. जितना कर पाऊंगा मैं करूंगा. खुश रहूंगा. आप भी खुश रहो. Have those expectations. Treat them as another human beings.
Yeah.
वो थोड़े cord cutting करने पड़ते हैं.
Cord cutting, detachment थोड़ा सा, and preparing them for you not being the best child and they being okay with that. I think that's very important.
Lately, I've been priming my parents because I've internalized death and impermanence a lot. Because I've seen a lot in my life and I'm now seeing the wisdom and the power in that. I go back home and I talk about death a lot. It could be my death, their death and so on. And it's received in a very weird way, but I'm like, no, it's important for me, so I'm going to talk about it because this is the reality that's coming. Like, I can die just after the podcast. Who knows? So my point is, जी रहे हो अच्छे से जियो, कभी भी निकल जाओगे. All this holding and grasping is not gonna work.
It's not going to work. And I think also saying no to your parents is the hardest, right?
Very hard.
Because हमें सिखाया जाता है learn to say no. No is a complete statement. Say no so that you can say yes to yourself. सब में काम हो जाता है.
पड़ोसी के लिए ठीक होता है.
सबके लिए ठीक है. फ्रेंड्स हो गया, सिबलिंग्स हो गया, पार्टनर तक को तुम नो बोल दोगे, बट माँ बाप को ना बोलना आई थिंक इज वन थिंग वी हैव नॉट बीन टॉट, बिकॉज पेरेंट्स कैन हैव वेरी अनरियलिस्टिक एक्सपेक्टेशंस आउट ऑफ द किड्स एंड वी एज किड्स हैव बीन टॉट टू फुलफिल इट. तो वहाँ नो बोलना इज समथिंग जो हम सबको एटलीस्ट एज एन इंडियन किड वी हैव टू लर्न टू, बिकॉज समटाइम्स you just don't know how you're damaging yourself by saying yes to everything that your parents are asking you for.
Very difficult.
Very difficult. Like,
very important.
And this is like an epiphany right now for me. It's literally like, हाँ यार अपने माँ बाप को ना बोलना इतना मुश्किल है. Like today if my mom tells me, नेहा मेरे साथ यहाँ चल ले, अब सीखी हूँ मैं ना बोलना. You know when I got married and my mother-in-law would say, Neha, cancel your client and let's go shopping. मुझे ना बोलना नहीं आता था. Because I wanted to, also adjust in a new family and be like, please them somewhere. तो मुझे ऐसे लगता था नहीं I won't say no, and I started cancelling my clients to please probably my in-laws or just do whatever they want to do. And not that they were like forceful, it's just that I was doing it out of my own will. And then my husband one day just told me, are you crazy? Like you're cancelling clients because you want to go shopping? Like you can plan your shopping around your work. Why are you cancelling your clients? I'm like, I don't know how to say no. I said that to my husband. I said, I don't know. Ideal bahu na, वही सिखाया गया था ना. So I was like, I don't know how to say no. He's like, you'll have to. और वो इतना मुश्किल था रोनित मेरे को अंदर से वो. I'm like, मैं आज नहीं कल चले. Like it was like this. I couldn't say it. मुझे से लग रहा था मैं कुछ बड़ा सा पाप कर रही हूँ ना बोल के. Now over the years you learn कि अच्छा नहीं, I can't do this. मेरे से नहीं होगा. And I can say it. I can own it. My response, I'm owning my response because I know what I'm saying, I feel it and it's authentic. But ये बहुत important point है यार.
और ये और tricky तब हो जाता है जब ये parents आपको थोड़ा guilt tripping भी देने लगते हैं.
Oh of course, emotional blackmail तो मतलब parents का it's a right.
And so on and then it becomes very difficult, I've seen. And this is where like now I take certain stands and I do. I'm like, process it, deal with it. So I call it bum फोड़ना. तो अगर सब कुछ घर में ठीक भी चल रहा तो मैं टाइम टू टाइम बम फोड़ता रहता हूँ because I'm just getting warmed up.
Yeah, and you're preparing them.
Which is very important. Otherwise, this whole idea, ये तो Bollywood has a lot to contribute in this. I think sometimes I blame people. All of them amazing people, have a lot of respect. But a lot of these family movies have ruined families.
Yeah.
And
of course the Saas Bahu shows, yeah.
All of that. And Shah Rukh Khan has ruined the idea of relationships and expectations in this country. While I love him as a man,
of course,
but his roles are the most toxic roles ever. But that's been glorified, and everybody wants a Shah Rukh Khan, and I'm like, that's not healthy at all.
Yeah, that's not how reality works.
It's not.
वो लड़का तुम्हारे लिए बाहें फैला के नहीं खड़े रहने वाला पूरी जिंदगी.
मुझे पति चाहिए शाहरुख खान जैसा, बेटा चाहिए शाहरुख खान जैसा, बाप चाहिए शाहरुख खान जैसा. I'm like, that's very problematic if you actually get that.
Yeah.
So all of that goes on, but the family thing will keep going on, and now you have a choice. एक कहावत है, एक स्टोरी है एक्चुअली कि एक चिड़िया थी, वो ना पिंजड़े में उसको बंद करके रख दिया था और वो पिंजड़े में ऐसे टकटकाती रहती कि मुझे बाहर उड़ना है, मुझे जाना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. तो एक दिन उसके ओनर ने दरवाज़ा खोल दिया कि जा. चिड़िया बाहर आई, लेफ्ट राइट देखा, अंदर घुस गई वापस. Which are also us. So yes, there's a lot of pressure that comes from Indian parents. I completely acknowledge that. But it's not completely their doing. Like I keep telling my parents, and it has helped me forgive them for a lot of things they might not have done, is they never had a template as well. They're living for the first time as well. They will make mistakes, and it's just that they have more years of doing mistakes and all of that. Problem यहाँ पे ये होता था कि हम फिर reactive हो जाते हैं. Suddenly we realize कि my self-worth is zero, I need to stand up. अब हम rebellious हो जाते हैं. कि I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter, आपने क्या करा, which is unhealthy as well. Because then the moment you react in life, you think you're empowered, but you're just in control of something else now.
Yeah.
The moment you react.
Yeah.
So the true balance is acknowledging the wisdom, being grateful for what they have, because we do lean on support.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, हम भी जो इतना करते रहते हैं, हम lean on करते हैं, हम रो धो के फिर मम्मी कर all that करते हैं. So we're seeking something there always. So if we're seeking something, let's be honest with it. Which means if you want something, you give something. So there is a certain expectation offering. It's just that आपको balance define करना पड़ेगा कि यहाँ तक है, यहाँ पे boundary है, यहाँ पे hard no है. But having the whole spectrum of that instead of a black and white yes or no, because then that confuses the parents, confuses you because you're trying to figure out, then becomes very messy. But
yeah, but अभी के Gen Z बच्चे या Gen Alpha जो भी बीटा whatever the new generation is coming, वो तो नो बोलना जानते हैं. वो पैदाइशी नो बोलना जाते हैं. वो सीधा बोलना चाहते हैं don't behave like this with me. I've seen my nephew, I've seen other kids around. I'm like यार ये एक तरफ मतलब shrewd भी है but एक तरीके से ये अपने boundaries जानते हैं और उनके साथ पैदा हुए हैं. Like I'm like okay. There's some,
the mindset is shifting in parents also.
There's some software upgrade that's happened with this generation already.
Some things with the generation is beautiful. Some things they are doomed.
Some things are very toxic. Some things are very beautiful.
Also अभी क्या था ना, जैसे for example our parents का generation was the fact जहाँ पे बोलते थे कि we raised you, we gave you birth, और उसमें एक element है कि हमने तुम्हारे लिए करा, जिसमें wisdom है. For example, when my parents tell me this, I believe because I mean my mom and dad everything they do वो हमारे लिए करते हैं.
That's true.
Right? So there is wisdom in that. I also feel कि for them long term it's not the healthiest thing. So now I've started teaching them, me and my sister, कि नहीं खुद के लिए करो, आपको क्या चाहिए. Now they've started opening up.
Prioritizing themselves.
50-60 years of conditioning.
But नहीं, but there are people who also have kids for themselves. But बच्चों को बोलते हैं हमने आपके लिए
Exactly.
किया.
So
But
that's the
you're having
narrative
kids
that's
for
shifting.
Yeah.
With the present parents now, अभी बहुत ही clear है कि ये मैंने अपने लिए करा है. ये मेरा है, मेरी need थी. तो ये मैं बच्चे पे नहीं डालूंगा, तो वो नहीं होता, which is a very healthy thing.
Yeah, which is a healthier thing because you're not having a child कि वो मेरा बुढ़ापे का सहारा बने या वो मेरा financial stability लाए या मुझे घुमाए या मेरे जो husband ने नहीं किया वो मेरा बच्चा मेरे लिए करे. These were the toxic patterns I think the boomers have carried. Like our parents and of course some of the millennials are still carrying because we have seen that and now we are seeing this side of the generation and we are the cusp. हम बीच में हैं. हमें नहीं पता क्या सही है.
हम कहीं भी डोलते हैं.
हम यहाँ भी हैं, हम वहाँ भी हैं. But I think now the narrative is clear with the coming generation, like you rightly said, कि यार ये अपने need के लिए.
हम थोड़ा transition phase वाले हैं, इसलिए हम फटते रहते हैं.
अपने greed के लिए नहीं है, आपके need के लिए है ये. So I think.
और हमारी टांग ना दोनों जगह है. अभी जो नई जनरेशन है उनका टांग इस तरफ आ चुका है.
मिलेनियल बहुत गंदे फंसे हैं.
हाँ, तो हम जहाँ हवा की तरह हम जाते हैं. But yeah, that's there. But I think also beautiful.
Yeah. There's beauty in evolving and learning all of this.
I enjoy that, and I have certain conversations now with my parents which I wouldn't have like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I have it, and then sometimes they take time to respond. Sometimes we disagree. Sometimes we just like. It's where sometimes they have a lot of good wisdom that comes from there. So now my goal is कि अगर मैं आपसे मिल रहा तो मैं आपका गोल्ड लूँगा, मैं इनका गोल्ड लूँगा, सबका गोल्ड लूँगा. और कचड़ा किसी का नहीं चाहिए. तो हर जगह से गोल्ड. Be an ethical gold digger.
Yeah. Trust me, if I have to say कि touchwood life में एक relation जो बहुत अच्छा भगवान ने दिया is my set of parents.
That's true. This attribute I give from my parents as well. कि मैं इतना जीवन में कर रहा हूँ because of the love and support I've gotten. Otherwise बहुत तरीके में मैं बहुत ही लोलूस आदमी बन सकता था. But I think माँ बाप ने वो values तो set किए हैं सही.
हाँ, values भी अच्छे दिए हैं, support भी हर बार किया है. So there's no complaint with parents like.
And this is the wisdom part of it. For example, ये वाला element अब parents में missing हो जाएगा. A lot of old wisdom, value wisdom would make sense. But again, it's
it is. जो भी है अभी है. So रोनित, हमने पेरेंट्स के बारे में तो बहुत अच्छी बातें की and we really understood because ये हम समझ नहीं पाते. This is one relation where we get stuck because conditioning इतनी deep है, plus society जो सिखाती है उसका एक impact है, plus जो हमें बचपन से बोला जाता है. But the relationship of a partner is something we choose, right? And मैंने एक बात notice की है that we enter a relationship with a lot of neediness. This concept of don't enter a relationship for the other person to complete you, become complete yourself and then have a companion who can be a part of your journey. अब ये बहुत ही deep है.
Which also on the extreme end is not healthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me about this because a lot of us entered a relationship with a sense of neediness and lack of self-worth. And we put a lot of pressure and expectations on our partner कि they should complete us and they should become our source of happiness, our source of peace, our source of, all the good things in life. Yeah. Just clear the air about this.
It's a long topic. I came across this quote somewhere. It said, never do grocery shopping when you're hungry. You will pick up the wrong items. Right?
Yeah.
Same goes in dating. कि अगर आप बहुत उस नीड से आ रहे हो कि मेरे को ये चाहिए वो चाहिए वो चाहिए, is when you'll attract the wrong partner. Because then you are not seeking for partnership or companionship. You're seeking somebody to fill your void.
Yeah.
And short term, it's going to be the most romantic thing ever, because they're like, oh my God, he completes me, I complete him, all of that stuff. But when the honeymoon phase fades, you will realize there is no depth or no base or no value to it, because it's just two lonely people who do not know how to be alone.
Yeah.
They try to come together, comfort each other. And then social media and movies romanticize that kind of love. So we model that in our head. And when we try that in reality, one day we wake up and be like, shit, I'm doing it wrong. So this whole we are part of the same puzzle and all of that, soulmate and all, none of that, that's BS. The other extreme end, which is somewhere I also went eventually, because I was this guy. कि नहीं, I've been this guy जो स्टैंडर्ड 8 से अपनी डायरी में अपनी फ्यूचर बंदी के लिए लेटर लिखता है ना, वो
हे
आज तक मेरी
भगवान,
डायरी
ये
पे है
किस
ना।
टाइप का रोमांस है?
कोई थी नहीं ना, तो बिकॉज फौज के लिए तैयारी कर रहा था। माई क्रश आस्क्ड मी आउट ऑन अ डेट, उसको बिठा के मैंने 20 मिनट लेक्चर दिया कि बोर्ड्स आ रहा है, सब पे ध्यान दो, सब डिस्ट्रैक्शन है। दैट्स हाउ फोकस्ड आई वाज। बट आई मीन दिल तो दिल होता है, सो आई डिडंट हैव अ पर्सन, सो I would write down dear future partner, and I would write letters for her and write relationship goals and what love means to me since I was in standard 8.
वाह.
तो ऐसे बहुत ही दिल फेंकू आशिक रहा हूँ मैं। So my first relationship also very romantic, very unhealthy, because in my first relationship I needed a therapist. मैं फौज से just बाहर निकला था. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And the first person who showed me an ounce of kindness and a listening ear, I latched onto her. And she became my soulmate and my everything. And every day for hours I'll talk and I'll do all of that. And I thought this is best. और मैंने अपने बच्चों के नाम भी सोच लिए. Then it didn't work out. It could never work out now that I look back, because it was not a healthy relationship. So that's one extreme end. Then when I was on my healing journey, I reached this other extreme where I'm like, nahi, I have to completely heal myself, and then I'm going to have a partner. Ki nahi, once I'm going to sort every single fear I have, all of that, everything together, I'm going to be the most healed version of myself, and then I'm going to date Kusha Kapila. Right?
कुशा कपिला, अच्छा.
So I have these bhabis, ठीक है? I keep telling people, ये आपके ऊपर आपको podcast में डालना ही डालना. But I tell my friends कि there are few bhabis you have. Mrunal Thakur is your bhabi, and Kusha Kapila is your bhabi.
सुन लो.
तो these two people, बाकी जो तो है वो already शादीशुदा है. That was Vidya Balan and Chitrangada Sen, but they're gone. वो मैं फौज के टाइम पे मैं बोलता था. फौज के टाइम पे when you used to get punished, so let's say we're getting beating, so हमें hockey session होते थे, we'll get hit by hockey session. दर्द होता था, we're supposed to scream the name of our girlfriend. If not girlfriend, then you to scream the name of your favorite actress or people you're in love with. Every time I used to get hit, I'd be like, Vidya, because back then Vidya
Oh
Balan
my
was my
God, how
yeah.
filmy were you?
I was not filmy, but Vidya was Vidya, right? So
Yeah, writing letters to an unknown, unseen girl in standard 8 is filmy.
yeah, it
Love
is.
letters.
I am
Standard
very
8.
romantic that way. So anyway, so I reached a point wherein the other end is ki nahi, I'm gonna completely heal myself is when I'm gonna put myself out for dating, and because that's when I'm gonna attract healed people as well. And then my coach called me out. He's like, because that is ego, that is also fear, because nobody can be completely healed.
Yeah.
And certain wounds can only be healed in the context where the wound happened. So let's say if I have a fear of abandonment or fear of rejection, something that came out of my romantic relationship, yes, you can do a lot of work. Maybe you can do 75% of the work you can to be in a very resourceful state. But that 25% will always be hidden from you, because that will only get triggered when you have a partner.
Of course.
And you can feel that you're the most sorted person, and then just try dating somebody, and they'll trigger parts of you that you will like, Arey, ye to maine socha nahi
So
tha."
true.
So there's wisdom in working on yourself and eventually having a partner. Like my coach told me on my face, ki, Ronit, you want to be the best version of yourself and the most resourceful person? But yes, I'm like, akela nahi hoga ye. And that is when I told myself, okay, you know what, I'm going to open myself up, because for years I just locked myself in my fort. I'm like, women, stay away. मैं अभी अपनी healing journey में हूँ. It's when now I've started just opening and I've just started. मुझे मेरे coach ने homework दिया है which I have to do to go out on dates. Because I isolated myself so much. Because I'm like, nah, I'm healing myself. I'm on a healing journey. I'm going to stay away from women, which is not healthy.
Yeah.
Because again, while I'm trying to nurture like this Shiv Shakti in the background, while I'm trying to nurture my Shiv and nurture my Shakti,
Yes.
it's only
And you
gonna
talk
happen.
a lot about this,
do,
which I
it's-
wanted to talk to you about.
It has changed my perspective on so
And
many
this
things.
is a coincidence, huh? This is
Yeah,
here.
but I saw it and like it's like, interesting. You know?
And nothing is a coincidence. It's all
Yeah,
synchronicity.
exactly. Now I would say, 2 years means like, अरे कुछ नहीं होता है, some mathematics and statistics, and the moment I talk about relationship or something, I see some Shiv element, some Shakti. This whole Shiv thing came as related to this whole relationship journey is, I grew up seeing patriarchy.
we all have.
We all have. Then I joined the army. Patriarchy Pro Max, right?
Yeah.
Very beautiful, the best institution in terms of a lot of things. In terms of gender, not that great. I later on named this stage of myself that I was a PPS, I was a patriarchal piece of shit. Because in my head, the male was the alpha, the superior, and women are the inferior. And that's the mindset we lived in. That's how most of us grew up. That was my extreme toxic masculine, jisko bolte hain. So while I was an overachiever in terms of a man, I was not a great man. And I didn't have any beautiful female relationships. I didn't have good relationship with my mom or my sister because I wouldn't know how to engage with the feminine. Then I had my healing journey. And then thanks to my subject as well in sociology, we studied feminist literature and gender studies. And I realized, shit, yaar, main to tatti hu. Like in terms of being a man. And then I exposed myself to all of that. And then I explored the other side of it. This is where feminism came in. This is where gender equality and all came in. And then after a point I saw कि अब मैं बहुत ज़्यादा इस zone में जा रहा हूँ कि एकदम मैं hardcore feminist बन गया हूँ. And when I studied more, got into it, I realized that also in its extreme is a very flawed concept because it's reactive. There is no only men, there's no only women. Nobody is equal. Men and women are not equal. Men and men are not equal. Women and women are not equal. Nobody is equal. But somewhere we become into a very deductive sort of a mindset कि नहीं सबको काट के बराबर करके एक जगह कर दो. Like no, I mean, the masculine, the feminine, they have their beautiful traits, they have their strengths, they have their gaps, and it's a harmony when the masculine and feminine comes together. At the same time, I myself has my masculine, has my feminine as well. For the longest time, I used to think feminine is a shame, feminine gali hoti hai. I embrace my feminine, it helped me embrace my masculine because when Shakti shows up, Shiv shows up. When Shiv shows up, Shakti shows up. It's a whole balance.
It's a beautiful dance.
It's a beautiful dance. And then I realized कि while I'm trying to be in my healing journey, ideally, to be honest, वो अकेले हो ही नहीं सकता because Shiv और Shakti isolation में exist ही नहीं कर सकते.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, no, there's wisdom to that. So currently I'm coming to a stage in my life wherein, and recently I went to Art of Living and I was asking this question to Gurudev also. I'm like, oh, I'm in this journey, Shiv Shakti, but like akele. So I'm currently in the transition wherein I see the wisdom in Shiv and Shakti. I work on myself a lot. I've been doing this for other people, but for me, the most important thing is मुझे अपनी healing करनी रहती. But I also realize कि अकेले पहाड़ों में जाके meditate करना और वो करना वो बहुत easy है. True thing happens when you live in real life and all of that. And I'm like, so now my goal is कि मैं अपने शिव को बनाता रहूँ, शक्ति आ जाएगी जब आना होगा. So it's not a pursuit, nor it's a target. So it's like I'm not pushing things away now.
Yeah.
I'm not grabbing onto things.
Grabbing. You're just flowing with it.
Yeah, I'm just flowing.
Beautiful. And tell me, what is positive masculinity, alpha male? What is actually the alpha male, which is not the definition that the society thinks it is?
So the problem is masculinity, feminine. None of that is toxic. ये हमने tags लगाए positive because हमारा human बुद्धि यही है ना कि जो समझ में नहीं आ रहा tag डाल दो उसमें. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. It's just that when you overstretch the extremes of masculine, it starts becoming toxic for you.
Yeah.
But it's easier to say toxic masculinity. तब क्या करते हैं ना हम masculinity का नाम खराब करते हैं. या same with feminine as well. There's something called toxic femininity as well.
Yes.
Again, we're spoiling that. In it a sense, feminine and masculine, they're just energies. है ना? So, अभी तो मैंने shirt ये पहना है, but I have this tattoo which says alpha male and the male is struck off. There was me defying to certain ideas or whatever it was. When I was growing up, I remember the whole alpha male ka trend picked up because a lot of these deodorants came in और वो दिखाते थे कि आप ये करोगे तो ऊपर से angel गिर रहे हैं. And some of the biggest channels on YouTube were related to alpha and we'll be taught as how to be an alpha male and so on. But वो जो alpha male का definition was a very ego based thing कि तुम बंदे हो तो तुम ये हो, तुम stand apart हो, women उस जगह तुमको एक वो बनना है, which was a problem because when you start operating from ego, one definition is कि मैं बहुत अच्छा हूँ, I'm great. I am great, Neha is also great. The problem is it becomes toxic when I say no, I am great.
I am only great.
I am only great is the problem. That's the problem with the toxic masculine and feminine as well. If you, and the reason I got this whole alpha male wala tattoo was if you really read about the concept of alpha, it comes from the animal kingdoms. So the leader of the pack is called the
lion,
alpha.
yeah.
If you study most of the pack of animals, the leader, the alpha, is the female. So if alpha had to have a gender, it should have been alpha female, technically. But we market it. It's a marketing thing. We market it as alpha male because it was easy to sell products and so on, and you tap into somebody's insecurity and you do that. But then that became a social trend of being an alpha male, which is a very egoistic, unhealed version of what a masculine should be. So now, the goal would not to be a healthy masculine and all of that. While you use that term sometimes, the goal is to just be a masculine. A true masculine is somebody who embraces their masculinity, who embraces their feminine as well. That's a true masculine. Same goes with feminine. We are now, and it's very sad to see how so many women, my generation, are losing their feminine touch. When I say losing their feminine, I'm not saying that, oh, you have to do the things that women are supposed to do. That's gender.
Yeah.
But I see so many women because they've been hurt or something happened in life and they had to take care of everything by themselves and they become in their hyper independent masculine state and now they've become the man.
Yeah.
They've become the masculine.
Yeah.
And it's not serving them. And now the tricky part is that social media tries to romanticize that also. And I'm like, बहन आप खुद के पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मार रहे हो. Not saying you shouldn't be masculine. Yes, you should have masculine traits as well. But feminine is your quality and you should nurture it. As long as you're nurturing both, it's good. But if the moment you abandon your feminine, you're abandoning yourself. And then you go complain to the world how everybody's abandoning your feminine. You're not. I mean, you are doing it.
Yeah.
Same goes with masculine. We have a masculinity crisis right now in this world.
Yeah.
We don't have men who are men. You know, we have boys now. But when I say that, it's very tricky because the same statement can be used by a very toxic guy, be like, oh, we don't have men, we have kids and all of that. They can talk on an ego perspective. But the truth is, we don't have men. Where are men who are showing up, who are owning up things or taking responsibility for their life, not just saying? Where are men who would protect what they believe in, not just try to protect if somebody, makes a comment to your girlfriend or sister, तब तुम्हारा ego, तुम्हारा masculinity जागता है. बट अपने जीवन में कोई और अगर पास में है, यू डोंट टेक केयर ऑफ देम, यू डोंट टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर योर ओन लाइफ. जो मेजर मैस्कुलिनिटी की है वो आप कर ही नहीं रहे हो. फिर आप जाके दूसरे लोगों के वीडियोस देख के बोलते हो मैं तो बहुत मैस्कुलिन हूँ बिकॉज मैं फेमिनिन रिजेक्ट करता हूँ. That's not masculine. So we have a masculinity crisis, we have a femininity crisis, we have all those crises right now because एक नैरेटिव ये आ गया है कि अब बंदे हैं तो आप बस बैठ के रो, है ना. अब आप बंदी हो तो तुम सब कुछ कर सकते हो जो मैन कर सकते हो. It's all reaction. Till the time it's a reaction, it's not going to work. And we don't sit and read about the wisdom between Shiv Shakti, between the dance between masculine and feminine, right? I know for myself that my dominant is masculine because I'm a man. For most of the men, that's the case. But अगर मैं केवल अपने masculine में रहा, मैं बहुत ही incomplete रहूँगा. The masculine in me helps me to create things, to lead, to take risk and so on that. The feminine in me helps me have these conversations, build connections, be there, love somebody else, love myself, nurture, not be hard on myself, not punish myself, all of that. That's very important that I do that. Like embracing the feminine, embracing the Shakti in me has helped me become a better coach, a better man, a better son, a better everything. But it takes a lot of humility initially. Because निशा आपको लगेगा कि वो मेरा मैस्कुलिन जा रहा है, तो जाने दो भाई. That's the problem. People don't want to get into that.
Deep, very deep.
Yeah, शिव शक्ति पे मैं बहुत बातें कर सकता हूँ. क्योंकि मैंने research किया ना, so I put a lot of content around relationship, men and women dynamic. उसमें अपने आप when I was studying about masculinity, Shiv came in. The moment I studying about Shiv, Shakti came in. I'm like, ये interesting है. And then I'm like, why is like this is the answer, this is it. Nobody's talking about it because there's a saying, in business. It says when a problem becomes too big, you don't solve it, you make a business out of it. So now it's all business.
It's all business.
We
Yeah.
have things to sell to men, we have things to sell to women. So that's how it's going, and everybody's suffering.
And I think because of this, there are also a lot of relationship issues. You yourself have been through a lot of breakups, heartbreaks, pain, PTSD. ये सारी चीज़ें जो एक traumatic relationship के बाद होती है. I want to understand how can one overcome that, because you know आपके तो life में जो हुआ that made you suicidal, but there are a lot of people who get suicidal because of relationships, and they want to end their life because they feel अब इसके आगे तो I can't see light.
True.
You know, at the end of the tunnel, it's all dark. So, how do you overcome any kind of trauma, especially
Yeah.
relationship and breakup traumas?
I have a whole TED talk on this. But the first step is acknowledging कि दिल टूट गया है. And honestly, when heart breaks, it breaks.
It breaks. बस
No
आवाज़ नहीं
amount of-
आती है.
no amount of कि नहीं, it's for the better, or it's her loss, his loss, all of that BS. नहीं, दिल टूटा तो टूटा. सबका अपने से टूटता है. किसी के जाने से टूट गया, कोई नहीं मिली उससे टूट गया, कोई मिल के नहीं मिली उससे टूट, बहुत कुछ हो गया. Like, I think I'm grateful. I sometimes ask universe की मतलब इतने ज़्यादा लेसन आप थोड़ा प्यार से भी सिखा सकते थे ना, डंडे नहीं देना है. Because love has been a very important aspect of my life, which means I've had so many heartbreaks. I keep saying, you know, like you've heard, no, wearing your heart on your sleeve. For me, that's not enough. तो मैं दिल निकालता हूँ, उसको एक रस्सी में बांधता हूँ, I swing it like a rodeo, right? तो मेरा दिल भी लग जाता है बहुत जल्दी और टूट भी जाता है बहुत जल्दी. Because that's the risk you come. I used to be that guy, and because I got hurt so many times, and I stopped playing altogether. It's like मैं नहीं खेल रहा अब, and I isolated myself and I built my wall. So this is a whole ऐसे just some जो major statistics हुए. पहली बंदी कट गया मेरा, एकदम दिल टूट गया, एकदम किताब लिख दी उसके बाद. Half of my book was about that love story and so on. And थेरेपी जानी थी, थेरेपी गया नहीं, टिंडर डाउनलोड कर दिया,
Rebound हो गया सारा
rebound.
कुछ.
And then I realized after a point that this is not me, but I was still doing it because then I uncovered I was just angry. It was my grief. I couldn't process it. So then I went to do all of that. Did that and then took a long break. But then दिल आ गया किसी पे, and I mentioned in my talk as well. Fell in love with somebody. I thought I fell in love. Today मतलब when I meditate now, I realize कि a lot of that was attachment, not love. But back then I was like, fell in love. फिर उस बंदी ने बोला कि वो इजिप्ट जा रही है, इजिप्ट चली गई, ठीक है कोई नहीं. देन फेल इन लव अगेन. फिर बहन ने बोला कि वो मेलबर्न जा रही है, कोई नहीं. फिर फेल इन लव अगेन. फिर बहन बोलती है कि ग्वाटेमाला जा रही है. 3 बार बैक टू बैक हैपेंड दैट आई वाज इन लव एंड देन दे लेफ्ट. तो हमारा एक इंटरनल जोक है अपने ग्रुप में कि किसी बंदी का वीज़ा नहीं लग रहा है तो रोनित को प्यार करा दो, उसका वीज़ा लग जाएगा और चली जाएगी बाहर. दिस हैपेंड फॉर अ व्हाइल. देन आई एम लाइक
ticket to the visa.
आई एम लाइक अब तो मैं नहीं कर रहा. But me being me, दिल फिसल गया मेरा. I was walking, I met somebody and finally like the healthiest person I had met, and then it was beautiful and I was in love and all of that, and then universe was like एक और lesson. तो universe ने उसको उठा ही लिया धरती से. So then we lost her to a road accident. It was 2.5 years ago. फिर मैं टूट गया. After that I was done. I was like नहीं हो पाएगा, like fatigue हो गया, tired. I'm tired.
Soul is tired now.
Soul is tired. ये पता था कि फिर से कभी प्यार होगा, बट मी बीइंग मी होगा, बट आई एम लाइक अब थक गया हूँ मैं, मेरे को नहीं करना है. वो रांझना में लास्ट में बोलता है ना, फिर से कौन उठेगा, फिर से कौन प्यार करेगा, वैसा हो गया था. तो टुक अ लॉन्ग ब्रेक. देन आई वर्कड अ लॉट ऑन माई हीलिंग, एंड दैट losing her name's Preeti, she's very proud of me. So losing her got me into spirituality. Now when I look back and I said maybe that was her purpose. Because uske pehle I was a coach, but I was always logical.
Yeah.
I was always in my masculine, logic, science and so on. After Preeti went is when spiritually entered my life, because I was humbled, I was broken, and that's where the feminine came in to nurture, and I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. And I'm like, oh, ये सिखाने आई थी. And I tell universe कि थोड़ा प्यार से भी सिखा सकते थे, but I think
But आपने ही lesson sign up किए ना आने के
हाँ
पहले.
वही करा है. तो मैंने
The
बोला
soul
इसमें
has
भी wisdom
chosen.
है. Yeah, soul has chosen. तो all of this has happened now, and to answer your question as to how to heal and all of that, first is go back and work on yourself. जितने धागे आपके हैं सारे धागे निकालो, put it out there and start working on that. That's your healing journey, and it's a very long journey. Like till the time you die, you'll always be
You're
healing.
always
right?
work in
It's always going
progress.
there. right?
Always.
Now there are certain stages. Like pehle, what you do is the moment you're hurt, you have to protect yourself because most of the time we couldn't. So yes, build some boundaries initially, wherein you have to protect. This is where you go back, do your homework. You stay away from dating for a while, for a few months, whatever it is, 6 months, a year. Stay away from dating, work extensively on yourself, and build your friendships, relationship, family support system. Once you've done that, is now you have to keep a check. Now what I want to do is I want to build some walls. I want to break open some of the portals for me to go out in the world. Otherwise what happens is आप जो boundaries बनाते हो ना, वो कब wall बन जाए आपको पता नहीं है. Wall is great protect करने के लिए आपको, but then nothing goes out as well, nothing goes in, and you make your own fort, and then you get stuck there. So then what you do is you have to take a hammer, you have to swing, and you have to crack open some windows. Let some light in. You're not going full into dating, but then now you're open to going out and talking to people without any agenda. So you talk to a few people. You will learn, kabhi kabhi jaake trigger ho jaoga. I'm like, oh, this is something I can work on. Or sometimes a lot of your dates, like I'm very grateful to the dates I've told some people that you healed a certain part of me that I thought it was worked on. So I have certain experiences. Then it's a leap of faith. Is at some point, now what you do is you've done your homework, you know that, what do you call, like, it's a fertile soil. I want to build a garden here. And now you let it be. To the universe, you just let it be. And you keep doing you keep
Surrender.
living your purpose and you surrender. जिसमें masculine की एकदम ही फट जाती है surrender, क्योंकि हमसे होता नहीं है, but that's the main. You surrender, you keep doing what you believe in, and the universe will send the right Shakti your way whenever it's supposed to be. It's not going to be when you want, it's not going to be like what is convenient for you, it's going to be when
It's
it's
the
the
right
right time.
Divine timing.
And
of
then when
course.
it comes, and then just don't be a chicken, and then just take a few leap of faith. And this is one of my favorite quote. I keep reminding myself of this key whenever I find somebody with whom I feel ये शक्ति है. अब मेरे से, for example, I meet a lot of inspiring women, a lot of women, because my work, 75% of my clientele is women. So I'm surrounded by women.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of attractive women, smart women. But मेरे को है कि if I find and talk to somebody, मेरे दिमाग में जब तक ये नहीं चमक रहा भाई तो शक्ति है, तब तक मैं ध्यान नहीं दे रहा. Because it's very easy to get distracted that way. So I'm like, जब आएगी तो देखा जाएगा. And this quote, it says, which has helped me come out of my wall, because मैंने एकदम ही बंद कर दिया था खुद को, is जो चिड़िया है ना, कभी आप चिड़िया को पतली सी डाल पे बैठते हुए देखोगे ना, तो चिड़िया ये नहीं सोचती कि वो डाल टूट जाएगी तो क्या होगा. चिड़िया को पता है कि चिड़िया हैज़ कॉन्फिडेंस ऑन हर विंग्स. अगर गिरेगा टूटेगा भी तो मैं उड़ जाऊंगी.
I'll fly off.
So that the confidence in the ability to fly is your healing journey. But डाल पे तो आपको बैठ के देखना पड़ेगा, और डाल टूटेगी तो टूट गई, नहीं टूटी तो नहीं टूटी. But we don't know that. It's always going to be a reflection later on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. और अब तो मैं बोलता हूँ, मैं तो ऐसे बोलता हूँ, like I have conversation with her, I'm like, तो तू ही भेजेगी,
अब तू ही भेजेगी.
align करते हैं. So, yeah.
No, but it's so deep, right? A whole human life is so complex. कितना कुछ सीखना है, कितना कुछ करना है, और हम इतने अंधेरे में रहते हैं. बट जब वो एक लाइट, एक रोशनी की किरण आती है, and then you realize, oh my God, this path is so beautiful. It's addictive. Actually, spirituality, that path is addictive because then you want to like unfold more things. क्या है? What's in store? What is it that I don't know
realize
about
that you never
this
knew anything.
complex universe? I want to
Exactly.
know more. That thirst. वो जो एक रहती है.
And it's beautiful. It's very easy to get lost there as well, and this is why you have to be in touch
There's
with reality.
ego in spirituality also.
Lot
I
of
think
spiritual
half
ego.
of the world जो spirituality की बात करते हैं वो
Oh, you
ego
don't
में करते
meditate.
हैं.
Oh, you don't meditate. Oh, you don't do breath.
Oh, I do
no,
so
no.
much of
I do
this.
so much. Yeah. I attended 5 retreats this month. Yeah, that's spiritual ego.
That's spiritual ego, yeah. अब मुझे fear के बारे में पूछना है आपको. Fear.
Fear.
Fear of
very
losing your
important.
loved ones.
Yeah.
Fear of losing your job. Fear of losing your life. Oh, I've had a few friends in the last couple of years. बड़ा अजीब हो रहा है उनके साथ. They're just suddenly thinking about मैं मर गया, उसके बाद मेरी फैमिली का क्या होगा. And I'm like, isn't that a reality? मतलब ये तो real है, हमें मरना ही है, ये लाइफ तो impermanent है, it's a dream, it's a movie जो चले जा रही है, आज है कल नहीं है, तो इसमें क्या. I said, and I also spoke to a friend lately, and I'm like, okay, but do you think you are doing everything? So he's saying, no, but I'm the breadwinner and obviously wealthy, but but मेरे बाद क्या होगा मेरे wife और बच्चे का. So I said, but it's God taking care of everything. आज एक चींटी नहीं खाने के बिना रहती है. So Why are you worried that what will happen to your wife and your child? Like, and but why are you overthinking death?
Yeah.
Thinking death every day, I think it's healthy because you have to remind yourself that this is impermanent and I can go anytime. So you stay detached from the madness of life and the reality that you think is real, but it's actually a dream. But okay, so whatever that illusion is. But obsessing over your death, that fear, and I've had 2-3 friends go through this in the last few years. Please tell me, कैसे कैसे क्या समझाना है उनको?
That's attachment and ego, where it's coming from. I learned in that space, I'll tell you about it. I learned in that monastery how attachment works. So let's say attachment is that you identify an object as attractive. Okay? Now you exaggerate its attractiveness. You make the idea of how beautiful this is. And now because you exaggerated and it's so attractive, now you want to possess it. You want to hold it. And because you hold it and hold it tight because you feel that this is your source of happiness. Now the moment I think this is my source of happiness and this is what makes me happy, you don't want to lose it now. So you grip a little more, right? And you grip a little more, you feel this is the source of my happiness. But then at the same time, you're also operating out of fear. It's like, नहीं ये चला जाएगा अब शायद. अब ये मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ा चला जाएगा. So then what we do is, we find another object of attachment. Then we exaggerate the attachment, all of that, and then same process. And all our life we keep
And
doing.
we keep collecting attachments.
In Buddhism, they say that attachment is like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. You feel you're quenching your thirst, but it's making you more thirsty.
More thirsty.
Same goes with fear as well. Fear तब आता है जब हमें लगता है छूट जाएगा. हमें डर लगता है छूट जाएगा because हमें लगता है वो मेरा है. हमें लगता है वो मेरा है because हमें लगता है मैं हूँ और केवल मैं हूँ, and that's the whole problem. And spirituality can solve it. This whole difference and the difference between मैं ही हूँ versus मैं भी हूँ. मैं भी हूँ, and when you're part of the larger consciousness, and that's where you find surrender and you do all of that. The moment you get into मैं ही हूँ is when you'll try to grab onto your kids, your parents, your money, your this, your that, and you're just like, oh, कब छूट जाएगा, छूट जाएगा.
But how will you grab onto your own life, which is
You
so
can't.
futile? वो
can't.
कभी भी जा सकती है.
And all of this, not just life, anything can go.
कुछ भी कभी भी जा
Anything
सकता है
can
in a
go.
split second.
Yeah, and that's the problem because हमें लग रहा है कि हम पकड़ के संभाल सकते हैं, but वही हम नहीं कर सकते.
But अपनी life के लिए करना.
Yeah, a lot of people have fear of death, and एक होता है, for example, लोग बोलते हैं live as if you're gonna die tomorrow. Nobody actualizes it.
Nobody actually.
Everything is impermanent.
ज्ञान,
अभी जो मैंने बोला ये जा चुका है, मेरा cell अभी change हो गया है. Me 5 seconds was not me. Everything is impermanent. We don't spend enough time to see impermanence around us because we want to create something and we want to just have that. That's our ego. And वो तभी छूटेगा once you थोड़ा सा you have to get into spirituality and you have to start questioning your sense of I and me. और आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि you are not a solo player. You're one of the element on this very huge game that is playing. It's going to humble you. Once you get humbled is when you're going to be open to releasing your hand and be like,
and then you let the divine control your life rather than you controlling yours.
And then
which
you do your right karma, you do the right things, you do the things you believe in, but at the end you can't control anything. Yeah, but that takes some time for people to register because it's not that वो समझ नहीं पाएंगे, it's just that वो कभी बैठते ही नहीं हैं खुद के साथ समझने के लिए. 5 मिनट बोलो आंख बंद करे मेडिटेट कर क्या सोचने, वो नहीं करते हैं. So then it's just a loop, and after it's like I keep telling you don't eat chocolate, बट आप खाए जा रहे हो, फिर 2 महीने बाद मैं आ रहा हूँ कि यार दांत सड़ गया है, मैं तो इतने पेन में हूँ, अब कौन ध्यान रखेगा मेरी फैमिली का, कौन ध्यान रखेगा मेरे बच्चों का. I might not be able to empathize with you so much.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this you did to yourself. So thin line between is something actually a suffering or you've created this for yourself because now you get to play the victim. Now the moment you get to play victim, now you want to become the hero in your story. I'm like, मैं तो ये overcome करके ये भी कर लिया. The ego is attached, like more ego. Now more ego, and now you're going to collect more things. And then the same process. Then you become victim, then you become the hero, then ego, and then you keep doing that. And people love it. It's a huge dopamine hit. So people keep playing that game. And while they complain about, oh, how humanity is this and all that, I'm like, the moment I say that there's a problem in this world, I am the problem because I am the world, no? I am part of the world. तो हमें वो नहीं देखना होता. That a lot of humbling down is needed. मेरा भी बहुत ईगो था, मुझे लगता था मैं मेरा मैं जा चुका है. मैं लाइक ना ही मैं हूँ ना मेरा कुछ है, कुछ नहीं है मेरा. So let me just do, let me just enjoy.
What
मेरे
I'm
को
here
बहुत था,
for.
yeah. मेरे को बहुत था. I was attached to the idea that I want to become the best coach in the world. I want to leave my legacy. I want to do all of that. I'm like, क्या होगा उससे? It's all my ego.
Yeah.
I'm like, जहाँ हूँ जिस कमरे में जाऊँ वहाँ खुशी लाऊँ और जब निकलना है निकल जाऊँ.
Yeah, because I heard this beautiful thing on another podcast the other day. One guy just said, "Do you know who was the richest or the most famous man in 1473?"
Yeah. Nobody.
यार 1473 छोड़ो, हमें 10 साल पहले का नहीं पता होगा.
Exactly.
5 साल, 1 साल पहले का नहीं पता होगा. So he's like, what are you really struggling so much for with your ego, with your thing that it's all me and I want to do this and I want to achieve this. Ultimately, you're going to leave and no one's going to remember you. I mean, for a few days, for a few months, for a few years, you're close ones, and then everyone's going to
Everybody.
move on.
The most celebrated, decorated people who recently died, nobody talks about, nobody thinks about them.
Yeah.
That's all ego. हमें लगता है कि we are important and people will remember us. Not.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, exactly. So, frankly, just do what sails your boat and makes you happy, and just do the right and
Yeah. And my funda in life is live well, love well, leave well.
leave well.
Yeah.
शांति से जाओ.
शांति से जाओ.
तंग मत करो.
मजे करो, जाओ. खुश रहो जीवन में. Like I've, especially after this, lately I do a lot of meditations on death. And now I actually live my life as if I'm going to die tomorrow. मेरा कि अब अगर मैं अभी पॉडकास्ट में मर गया और मेरा सोल ऐसा निकल रहा है, मुस्कुराते हुए जाऊंगा.
Same.
मजा आ गया यार.
Same.
मजा आ गया बात करके. ठीक है, इतना ही डाल देना है ना, बस.
I've also thought of this. कभी बैठे बैठे कुछ ऐसा हो गया, अब मुझे पता है मेरी डेथ नहीं रहने, या तो क्या करेगी. I asked myself, ये थॉट मुझे कल या परसों आया है. I was sitting somewhere and I was like, no, I saw a video. I saw a video of this guy drowning in the river.
Yeah.
कल ही हुआ है ये, कल या परसों हुआ है. And he was just filming something and the waters took him. And I was like, नहीं, मेरे साथ ही हुआ था निष्ठा, और मेरा जब रिट्रीट हुआ था ना कुछ साल पहले, I was literally flowing away in the water and निष्ठा caught me. She caught me in time, otherwise I would have flown off.
Yeah.
तो मेरे को एक थॉट आया कि if you were in that position, नेहा, and तेरे को पता है death is there, तू क्या करती? I asked myself.
Yeah.
And मेरे को अंदर से आंसर आया, शायद तू बोलती ओम नमः शिवाय. Look at God and say thanks और निकल ले.
मजा आ गया.
This is exactly what the thought was in my mind. And मेरे को अभी भी goosebumps आ रहे हैं because I questioned myself and the answer came from within.
Yeah.
नहीं तो आंसर आता बचाओ बचाओ, मेरा क्या होगा, इसका क्या होगा, इसका क्या होगा, मेरी फैमिली का होगा, कुछ नहीं आया. It just came ओम नमः शिवाय. And I was like, leave.
Yeah.
Because you know now there's nothing.
Yeah, it's
बच
done.
गए तो बच गए,
Yeah.
नहीं बचे तो God is only
True.
taking you in His arms.
When death comes to your door, whatever you're picking, you just drop and you leave.
Yeah.
It's this fun question I keep asking. House parties में जाता हूँ मैं, बोलता हूँ if you have 24 hours to live और तुम कल 8 बजे मरने वाले हो, क्या करोगे? And people give such interesting answers. But no matter whom you talk to, there's a pattern that once they do enough thinking, they'll be like, oh, I think I'm going to go back to my husband or to my family, just going to spend some time, have a meal and then die. तो फिर मैं उनसे पूछता हूँ, तो इतना जो लगे हुए हो दौड़ने भागने में, कि लगता है तुम्हारा जीवन इस पे, तो क्यों? Because if at the end it's about that.
Yeah.
So yes, hustle, all of that is about. I work my ass off to a point where a lot of people think it's unhealthy how much I work. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
पहले आई यूज्ड टू डू इट बिकॉज मेरे को कुछ साबित करना है, दुनिया जीतनी है, मेरा ये था. मेरे को लगता है भाई दुनिया मेरी नहीं, मैं ही नहीं हूँ. मज़े करने हैं, अब इतने मज़े करने हैं कि मैं जो कर पाऊँ तो ना. आई वाज विद माई फ्रेंड यस्टरडे, मैं उसको बोल रहा था कुछ, तो शी इज़ एन एक्ट्रेस. मैं बोलता यार कुछ म्यूज़िक वीडियो साथ में बनाते हैं या कुछ करते हैं. नाउ एक्सप्लोरिंग कि मैं म्यूज़िक वीडियो में एक्टिंग करने की कोशिश करूँगा, विच द कोच, माई ईगो कोच वुड नेवर डू. आई एम लाइक, कौन कोच, काहेगा कोच? I don't exist, coach doesn't exist, all of these are these caps and roles I'm playing और ये चला जाएगा. तो भाई मज़े करो, गाना गाओ, नाचो, डांस करो.
I so resonate with this because I also came from this point of I want to be the best nutritionist and integrative health coach, and then वो कुछ साल पहले था. And then I'm like, अब क्या बनना है मुझे? I said नहीं, अब मुझे सिर्फ जो मेरे पास आएगा उसके लाइफ में वैल्यू ऐड करना है, and most important मुझे लाइफ एंजॉय करनी है.
True.
Now, whatever gives me joy and happiness, I want to do those things. You know?
That's very true.
And ये समझना बहुत मुश्किल होता है because this is literally shedding a skin, you know, a layer of skin, because you were some person and then suddenly you don't, that you don't resonate with that version of yourself, and this version is not fully developed. So that transition का जो pain होता है वो भी एक sweet pain है, but just to experience that in itself also is very empowering because you just like, you're an observer, you're like, why is that goal not existing anymore, that you want to be the best, because best बन के क्या हो जाएगा? Your ego will be massaged, right? But उसके उपरांत क्या? What above and beyond that? Will you be happy? Will you feel like you've really lived each moment the way you wanted to? That is the question. And yeah, I think what you say, like, it's, I don't know how many people today listening to us are going to resonate, or they're going to think these two people are mad, that they're talking some different language only. But yeah, जिसको उठाना रहेगा वो उठा लेगा.
Who get it, and is the most liberating feeling.
Totally.
I'm planning to get another tattoo. It says कौन चार लोग. Because the moment we want to do something, हम सोचते हैं ना वो लोग ये लोग. कौन चार लोग? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Do you have any heartwarming stories you want to share before we move on to the myth and fact round? Or
About what?
Any transformation journey that you saw people came in. एक तो आपकी खुद की आपने share कर ली, बहुत अच्छी है, but any other inspiring short story कि ऐसा था और ऐसे वो shift हुए?
यार बहुत सारे यार. I think I'm very lucky and very privileged to be able to do this work. For example, कोई मुझसे पूछता है रॉन कितना कमाते हो, and I show them some of the stories of my clients, or I show them these notes that people write for me. मैं भी बैंगलोर में था परसों रात को, when I met my community members. वो अपने माँ बाप से मेरे लिए घर का खाना बना के लेके आते हैं. नहीं रोनित को ये पसंद, रोनित खाएगा. मैं आया हूँ, मैं बॉम्बे आया हूँ कल, और मैं कुछ दिनों के लिए आया हूँ. And there are people who are fighting. नहीं रोनित हम हमारे साथ रहोगे, अब हमारे साथ हमारे घर में रहोगे आप. I keep saying people that while I'm backpacking for the past 3 years, मेरे पूरे देश में घर हैं that I can call my home. वो कमाया मैंने. In terms of my work or what I do, I've had women who will come and will hug me and be like, I'm hugging a man after 15 years because they have a certain wound around masculine and so on.
And it feels safe.
I feel safe, and I'll just hug them for 20 minutes and I'll kiss their head and I'll be like, you're safe here. And I mean it. I've had men who've hugged me and be like, मेरे बाप ने मेरे को ऐसे नहीं पकड़ा था जो तूने पकड़ा है. That's fulfilling.
The father wound, yeah.
उस पॉइंट पे भाई वो रो रहा है और मैं भी रो, अपने आज से टप 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 गिर रहा है. I'm like, this is life. Right? Or sometimes I see myself, there's something challenging, and I just do it. And then later on people are like, तुमने, like for the walk I did, it's insane. I had no idea how to do it. मैं बोला कर देते हैं, कर लेगा, तू कर लेगा, कर लेगा. Now people celebrate me. People starting by questioning me. My own relatives were like, क्या कर रहा है, नहीं कर रहा है.
कभी किया था ये?
2021. Same relatives now like, oh हमारे घर का चिराग, oh famous and all that. मैं भाई कहाँ थे जब जरूरत थी. So people I work with, the love I get from people, it's absolutely fulfilling.
Yeah.
I love challenging myself. मेरे को जहाँ लगता है मैं तुमसे भी बैठा हूँ and there's something I'm gonna ask, like give me a feedback. मेरे को लगता है कि मेरे में कुछ भी कमियाँ बताओ, मैं काम करना चाहता हूँ, मेरे को मज़ा आता है खुद पे काम करने के लिए. Right?
Change.
So all of that, like 2 days ago, one of my community members invited me to her playback theater. Never attended a playback. I went, attended a playback, and then one of my other community member came in and उनसे पूछा गया about the most transforming experience in their life, and they're talking about, there's this coach called Ronit and we worked and did this, and there was a whole playback performance on that, and the visual representation of what it has did, what my work has did with him, and I was just seeing that. मैं बैठ कर रो रहा हूँ because these are real people with real emotions, real life. वो अपने नाम, I've had somebody who's named their kid after me. उसको आप कैसे रिप्लेस कर सकते हो? नो अमाउंट ऑफ ब्रांड, इंस्टाग्राम, पॉडकास्ट, एनीथिंग कैन रिप्लेस दैट. तो मुझे पूछा मैं ये कमाया मैंने. तो आई नो दिस थिंग, इफ आई डाई राइट नाउ देयर बी अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु जस्ट फ्लाई इन टू जस्ट स्पेंड अ लास्ट मील, और मैं तो सबको पास कर रखेंगे. मेन्यू में छोले भटूरे बनेगा, सब छोले भटूरे खाओगे.
And that's the legacy you leave behind.
Yeah.
Because how many people love you at the end of your this lifetime is the legacy you leave behind.
I realize कि मैं इतना प्यार खोजता हूँ, घर खोजता हूँ, सारा प्यार और घर में ऐसे बटोरते चलता हूँ. and that's what I do. It's beautiful, very fulfilling. I love what I do.
Lovely. I loved what you shared today. Trust me.
Thank you so much.
So मुझे quickly 3 tips दे दो अगर किसी को अपनी healing journey, internal healing journey शुरू करनी है. What are the 3 steps that they need to take now? Like, what is it that they need to think about?
3 ही अगर देने. पहला is take out a pen and paper. Make a list of all the people in your life. And then start doing a plus minus. कि ये मेरे जीवन में growth या positivity लाता है और ये मेरे जीवन में बस कलेश लाता है. Reduce or remove the negative, add or increase the positive. That's first. Because आप कितना भी हीरा बन जाओ, अगर आप environment आपका बेकार है, आप बेकार ही रहोगे. पहला वो. दूसरा, with all the people you trust in your life, some people who like you, some people don't like you, ask for a feedback. Ask them, hey, I want to work on myself. Tell me, मेरा blind spot कहाँ है, मैं कहाँ पे फट जाता हूँ, या tell me something that I do that is not okay. They'll give you a very good list. And then you pick that up and one by one you start working on it. And while you're working on it, if it's a lot of things to work on, reach out to a professional. Because it's not that you can't do it by yourself. Of course you can. You're amazing. You can do it. But doing it with a professional would just expedite the whole process.
I
कि जो आप 10 साल में करोगे अकेले, वो आप एक थेरेपिस्ट या कोच के साथ 1 साल में कर जाओगे.
I second
तो
that,
आपका
yeah.
समय बचेगा बस. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't need us, but it'll be good if you do it with us because we'll just help you deal with that. So top 3 में तो यही होगा, actionable steps.
Super. अभी हम आते हैं myth and fact round पे.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a statement and you have to say whether it's a myth or a fact. And
Okay.
if it's a myth, then what's the truth?
Okay.
Okay. The first one is time heals all wounds.
Myth. It doesn't. Time plus work heals.
Okay.
Just time doesn't heal. It's like घाव लगा है, पट्टी डाल के छोड़ दिया, टाइम विल हील, सड़ जाएगा. तो पहले हम साफ करते हैं, दवाई लगाते हैं, फिर पट्टी डाल के छोड़ देते हैं, देन टाइम विल हील. So myth.
Okay. Trauma will always define your future.
No. Is the meaning you make around it that will.
Okay.
Trauma will explain what you do. It does not excuse you from it.
Okay. Relationships can survive without emotional intimacy.
No. Myth. Myth. Yeah. All sort of intimacy is important. Of course, relationship can survive, but then those will be unfulfilled relationships.
Masculinity and femininity are opposites.
Myth. They are very similar. If you go study, it's just that the way it manifests is very different. But in terms of energy, they're just energy. So yeah, myth.
You can only heal in therapy, not by yourself.
Myth. You can heal anytime. It's just that in therapy, you'll do it faster.
Needing your partner means you love them more.
Myth. That's dependency.
Once trust is broken, it can never be rebuilt.
Myth. People make mistakes, and some people, they redeem themselves, and then there's wisdom in that.
Okay. PTSD takes long time to recover from.
Depends on how much work you're putting, but true, it takes time. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. People change only when they hit rock bottom.
True, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. True. It would be good कि बिना rock bottom में hit कर पाए, but वो drive, वो जुनून, वो चुल, वो दर्द, वो जोश, जुनून जिद, वो तभी आता है जब गिर जाते हैं. Yeah.
Facing fear means eliminating it completely.
False. You always have certain amount of fear, and fear has functionality. You just do things anyway, and you use your fear for your benefit. There's a very beautiful Stoic quote. It says, I tamed my demons and now they whisper strategy. Same goes with fear. Yeah.
Wow. And we have the last rapid fire round. So we'll keep it fun and rapid.
Done.
Okay. Chole Bhature or Momos?
Chole Bhature.
One book you can read again and again.
Finding Your Strength in Difficult Times.
Okay. And
David
it's by?
Scott.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you weren't a coach, what would you be doing?
If you weren't a coach, what would I be doing? I would probably be doing a midnight show with my condenser mic and saying something and putting people to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to do a voiceover and do this 12 a.m. shows because in my life, like I've heard a lot that raat ko when I talk on phone, people tend to fall asleep. So I want to do that.
Yeah. You have that Love Guru kind of a voice.
हाँ, तो I want to do that.
You know, Radio City पे Love Guru जो आता है.
वो नहीं देखा, मेरे को नीलेश मिश्रा पता है. वो 12 बजे आते थे.
Love Guru is around that time only at night and his voice is very soothing and he solves people's love problems.
I want to do something around my voice. I would probably be doing that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. You have a good voice. Now when you're saying, yeah, you have a very, that strong and very...
सुलाने वाली बोलता हूँ मैं.
सुलाने
मैं चाहूँ
वाली?
तो मैं 10 लौंडों को खड़ा कर दूंगा लड़ाई करने के लिए, वो भी है. जब मैं आराम से हो तो मैं लौंडों को सुला भी सकता हूँ.
अच्छा.
Both. हाँ.
Okay. One emoji that describes you the best.
It's something I use a lot. It's a green heart या फिर एक sapling because it represents a lot.
A word you overuse a lot.
जीवन.
One food you'll never give up no matter what.
Chole Bhature.
अरे बाप रे इतना प्यार है छोले भटूरे से. Okay. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
What would it be? I could be anywhere and go anytime when I want. I can just teleport myself into places. I would love to see the world.
What's always on your playlist?
So many things. And multiple songs. Something on my playlist always are meditation music.
One habit that instantly makes you feel better.
I look at the mirror and I say, Maal to tu hai. That's my affirmation.
A quote you'd want on your tombstone.
Tombstone. जी के गया.
We are done. With that, we are done with the rapid fire.
Thank you.
And
That was fun. Quote
Yeah.
interesting. जी के गया. Quote तो बहुत सारे हैं, but I think right now just came.
yeah, I think whatever came on top of your mind. But this was so amazing, Ronit.
you. It was
मतलब
fun.
time कहाँ गया पता नहीं चला, and I have to still talk to you about so much more जो which I
We
think
will.
we'll
Lunch होगा,
बाद में
हाँ.
भी करेंगे, और I think एक और episode पे बुलाना पड़ेगा बाद में.
In fact, like in a few months, if I set up, I'm gonna invite you and I'm gonna talk
Yes.
about. I would love to talk about your story as well.
We'll talk, and thank you so much. बहुत मजा आया. I'm sure the listeners also have had a great time listening to this.
Thank you to whoever's watching.
So yes, thank you once again, and guys, I hope you've had a great time listening to Ronit with whatever he's spoken today, and you've taken back a lot because these are all very deep life wisdom, and life is nothing but living it each moment to the fullest and understanding yourself and living in harmony with yourself and other people. And I think that's what Ronit shed light about on today. And I think I've taken a lot and I have to process a lot after what he's spoken. So, aap bhi karna. And don't forget to like, comment, share your views with us in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel because we come up with some new episodes and new interesting guests every few weeks. So don't forget to subscribe to get notified, and also share it with your friends and family, and come back again on the channel for the next episode. So stay tuned.